Righty. Okay, everybody, welcome to the spoiler cast of Trails of Cold Steel 4. We have Cold Steel veterans, Trails in the Sky veterans, Trails of Cold Steel, and of course the Crossbow Games veterans here today. Everybody here has played all the games leading up to this. We played all the latest games in English, I believe, right? Is that correct?
Yep. Played all 9 games now.
Yes.
Yes,
That is correct. It is 9 games.
We have played everything. Some of us, we kind of do everything in the game as much as we can. I don't know about Bob, but we do everything we can in the game as much as we can. But we definitely go in on the story. You definitely go in on the characters. And I think that's the biggest thing here. So, you guys want to just introduce yourselves to the people real quick? Go ahead, Bob.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and it is I, Bowser Carriga.
All right. Riku?
Riku-san one, the only one here, aka Falcom's finest. We in this Cold Steel 4 spoiler cast. It's about time. We are in December. That means the game came out what? October, right?
Yeah.
End of October, correct?
Yep.
We gave you guys basically all of November to get Cold Steel 4 out the way, right? Like, I know I had it for quite a while, and I think we gave you guys a decent amount of time to knock the game out. So if you didn't have the game like early enough or anything like that, then obviously this video isn't going anywhere. You can obviously catch it whenever you're done with it. But yeah, can't wait to talk about all of the good stuff that happened in this game.
All right. You guys know me, Shadow. Of course, you guys can always hit the like button if you enjoyed this. You know, I think we're the only people out here actually doing the spoiler cast for this game. I may have seen some other videos, but
I think I saw Dual Shockers.
Yeah. But we gonna go in a little bit more than them. All right, we gonna get way more detailed. I think. I hope. And so, guys, this is your last possible warning. Okay. This is a spoiler cast, but this is a spoiler cast for everything leading up until this point.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, the only thing not being spoiled here is Hajimari no Kiseki. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So if you stumbled upon this video somehow, you don't want to, you might want to stop right now. If the video auto played for some reason, you might want to stop it now and close out or something, or just, you've been warned, okay? We going in. All right. So without any further ado, let's just get started right off the bat. All right. So let's discuss some story related stuff for the most part. Let's see. Where do we start off from here?
How about we start off with the overall pacing of the game? So the story, I would assume, would attest to that. Bob, would you like to start us off?
Pacing of the game. All right. This is one of my big issues with the game. Pacing in the beginning, overall fine. I think it was chapter 2 where the pacing just sort of drops a bit, and I feel it didn't need to. Like, it was chapter 2 and I think part of chapter 3. You really could have cut out not 2/3, but at least 1/3 of all the stuff in there, or at least made it go by quicker, and the game would have been fine. So, there was points of the game where I feel like, okay, this is just dragging on. Like, a lot of this dialogue isn't necessary. Can we just skip to the next part? And that's always a bad feeling to get. I didn't feel that in Cold Steel 3, which took me longer. Because your game can be long, but it has to keep my interest for me to justify that length. Especially when you have a cast as big and everyone has to get their little 50 cents in. So that was the issue for me, but it didn't it wasn't a deal breaker for the game to say. I still enjoyed it, but it was something that really got on my nerves with this one.
Okay. What about you, Shadow?
I thought the pacing of the game was just fine. I didn't really have too much issues with it. There was one part in the game towards the end where I guess we're going into spoilers. We were attacking the salt pillars, and I thought there was a real sense of urgency there. Okay, World War III is basically about to start. We don't have time to be sitting in Michelin just like chatting it up. We should be going there immediately to stop people from dying when the war starts. So I don't know where I felt like there should have been more urgency there. I guess the pacing should have picked up there. But for me, I got the game early, so I was under some type of pressure to, get a review out. And maybe I felt the pacing was slow at a point, and I was starting to feel the pressure of okay, I gotta get a review out. But then I said to myself, you know what? This is the fourth and final quote-unquote game of the series. It's the culmination of everything. I'm going to sit down, take my time. I know Cold Steel games are like this. I know the Trails games were like this. I know Crossbell was just like this. They're not going to go at a breakneck pace, So I got to sit down, chill, relax, and just play the game. I didn't find it too bad with everybody talking when the cutscene started going. Everybody's got, like Bowser, everybody's got to get in their 50 cents. I didn't really mind that. It's what I've come to expect. And I played a lot of games where there's a whole bunch of party members and they all need to get their say in. Not saying it's a good thing. I'm just used to it personally. I thought the pacing was just fine when I just sat down and said, forget it. I don't care. I'm going to take as long as I need to with this game. And I'm going to look at it all the dialogue I can.
Mm. Okay. It sounds very similar to what I felt. I think the only times in like a Trails game where I felt that the pacing irked me was there was a certain part in Trails in the Sky second chapter when you're at the academy. When you're with Estelle and Chloe at the academy and you're doing all of the stuff inside there. I remember way back when I first played it and I wasn't really didn't really understand like the franchise yet. I remember that part irking me. But after playing so many of these games, I don't know. For me personally, I realized that I'm similar to you when it comes to this is the final game. It is taking the Sky games, the Crossbell games, and obviously the Cold Steel games. They're trying to make sure that they have everything that they need in regards to the story and its characters and all of the plots, making sure that they can wrap everything up as much as possible in this one game. So that just saying that, it's just like obviously it's going to be a lot. And it feels like these past couple of years there's been this question in my head when it comes to, for the most part, do you feel that pacing as a concept in stories is subjective? Because it feels like when you ask someone, how do you feel about the pacing here, and one person says they felt it was too fast, one person will say they felt it was just fine, and the next person will say they thought it was too slow. There really isn't a definitive factual answer to that. It all depends on who you ask. So it's like when I think about it that way, and the type of franchise that we're dealing with, I honestly, when it came to story related stuff, the pacing never bothered me in Cold Steel 4. Mm-hmm. The only part in Cold Steel 4 that I felt that the pacing felt like I could be moving this a bit fast, and guys, I was playing this game for a long ass time. So for me to say that, the only time I remember feeling that way was when I was going out of my way to talk to every single like NPC there was across all of Erebonia. Because every time around those last couple of segments of the game, they would it would get into their Cold Steel 4's own personal type of formula where you would go to this location, you would rescue whoever needs to be rescued in there, fight the people who were in your way from getting those people, get back to whichever thing you were on, with whether it was the Merkaba or the
Pantagruel.
The Pantagruel too, yeah, whichever one you were on, you would go back there, and then Erebonia, you would see all of these like new icons beside the locations in Erebonia and Crossbell, and then you go there and then you see whatever dialogue you need to see. So Shadow, did you say you did go out of your way to make sure that by the time you moved to the next story segment, every single one of those like new icons were gone?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I remember when I was doing that. I think I do remember having like a feeling of like, man, this is a lot, man. Holy shit, I haven't actually gotten back to like the main story yet, but then every time I was talking to someone during those parts, it was something worth worth my time. So this definitely is the type of game where I think you definitely need to take it into consideration what this game is supposed to represent. So I don't know. For me to say that I feel that the pacing was too slow, I don't know. For me, I couldn't see myself saying that.
Like
I would.
I would say maybe if this was like maybe if it was like the middle game or the series or something like that, that maybe the pacing would have been so. But since this is like the final game, you want to take your time and make sure you get everything that you can
Like, I'm trying to
possibly
think.
get.
Okay, Bao, you said that certain things you felt could have been taken out. Do you have any of those parts that you feel personally that you would have taken out?
Trying to remember off the top of my head like exact moments.
Mm,
I really don't remember the exact moments honestly, since it's been like a month. I just know
understandable.
leading up to the first rivalries, like I remember just a lot of that being like, okay, can we just move past this already? Like I noticed something actually a bit later in the game where I would pay attention to what people were saying, and it came to me that a lot of this text, like you could honestly skip over it and not miss a single thing. And what I mean by that is because you had so many people and also just people like having to get screen time, and then I don't know, it's like how to describe this. It's like we're not moving anywhere forward. Like everyone's repeating the same things. Like, okay, we have to go. I don't know, uh, to the next rivalry, and then everyone has to say their piece, and no one's like really moving the conversation forward. I feel that's the best way to describe it. Like a lot of dialogue in this game, it felt like no one was moving the conversation forward. I just felt like dialogue for the sake of dialogue, and didn't add anything to the conversation itself.
I would reply in regards to that. When it comes to the stuff that they were saying, it seems like yeah, they may be saying certain things that are similar in that specific situation, but it does seem like when it comes to what that character is saying in specific, it usually most of the time has to do with where they currently are as a character and how they felt, and you usually see like the growth in that character with whatever statement that they said during that part. So I can see it, because it's like, here's the thing. If it's, let's say that none of the characters that were following you, because there is a lot of characters that are following you, especially like the further you get into the game. It's like, let's say that there was a version of this game where a lot of that was removed, right? Even though you may have felt that it wasn't really needed. Let's say that it wasn't there to begin with. There is a possibility that a complaint someone would have said during that was that they felt that the characters that were there didn't really even say anything during those
Hmm.
parts, and they're just tagging along with the main character, and they could have not even been there to begin with. So I do think it is a double-edged sword, and maybe they could have found a better balance when it came to how, which character really should be saying certain things during parts, instead of, I guess, giving every single character a, I guess, a chance to voice what they are currently thinking or saying. Maybe there could have been a more balance in there, because obviously I feel like if you moved it all out, then I feel you fall into that other trap that other JRPGs have, where, like I said, the characters, once you get them, they finish their little character arc of you getting them on your team, they're damn near silent for the rest of the game. We've played enough JRPGs to see that happen.
Yeah, like there's not many times where I personally thought like all the characters was talking at once. because I said earlier I've played a lot of JRPGs that have a shit ton of characters, like the Cross Edge games, the Record of Argus War games. They have so many characters, and not all of them talk at the same time, but the important ones say what they need to be said when the time comes. So if we got a cutscene in Cold Steel 4 where magic was involved, I expect Emma to speak up and say something. If there was something about, I don't know, the Jaeger Corps or something like that, I expect Fee or Sarah to say something. And they did. I never felt like once there was like everybody needed to get in their 2 cents and say something. Personally, I never felt that way. I felt everybody who needed to talk, they all talked. And maybe they probably just didn't add anything to the conversation, but I really enjoyed all these characters. So whenever they had something to say, I was always interested to see their opinion on the current situation, you know?
That's understandable. I don't recall characters saying things that other characters had already said. I do remember for me it felt like there was a like a story related conversation that they were talking their way through, and it does seem, at least the way I was reading it and saw it, it seemed like, yeah, they were giving every character to talk, but that conversation probably could have been maybe 1 or 2 or maybe 3 characters having that conversation. But like I said, they probably felt like, we have all of these fucking characters here and only 3 of them are talking. Maybe we should take this long ass, like basically an info dump to move the story forward and try to divide it between every single character that's there. Who would say this, who would say that, and try to get it through, as equally as possible. That's the way I saw it, when I was reading all the dialogue, because certain characters will say certain things that another character could have said, but this character, I guess, hasn't talked in a while, so they made that character say it, and it didn't feel like it was something that the character wouldn't say anyway. That's the way I saw it.
Yeah, there is a lot of characters in this game, and that's primarily probably because of Class 7, old Class 7. It's a huge class compared to new Class 7, and I'm not sure, maybe the writers felt that, they kind of messed themselves up when they have so many characters in Class 7, because between the new and the old, it's not even half almost how many are in old Class 7 and new Class 7.
That's an advantage new Class 7 has, because there's so few of them. They had more time to be developed and be important to their story in 3.
How come they still trash compared to old Class 7 though?
I disagree with that, actually. Well, okay, except for Kurt. I like Kurt, but he really...
Okay, I guess we'll just get into that topic right now then. Go ahead.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like Kurt, but he's undoubtedly the weakest member in terms of writing for new Class 7. Like,
somebody has
honestly, in this game, his only purpose was to be there for, like, Cedric.
Yep. Exactly.
It's kind of disappointing because I was expecting some big arc for him in this game since he didn't have one in 3.
Nah, he didn't have one. He had like a small one when they went to the Heimdall, I believe, and he went to his dojo, and that was extremely small, and that was it. And there were some people telling me that, oh, Kurt gets a little bit more. No, he gets a lot more in Cold Steel 4. I'm like, no, he doesn't. Not really. He doesn't do much else. Kurt is like, I would say, the second weakest for new Class 7.
I thought that Kurt had some good moments in this game, and obviously, yeah, one of them was the Cedric moment where you're fighting Cedric and he's having his good moment there. But I think there was a moment earlier on in the game that I felt was a very good Kurt moment, and that was when you were recruiting Ash, and he basically just pulled Ash up and pushed him up against the wall and gave him that speech of like, you're not yourself, do what you need to do, stop moping, see what the situation that Reenie's in and all that stuff. I thought that was a very good part for Kurt, and I would say that Kurt for new Class 7, I would compare him to what Laura was in old Class 7, where he is a person who is from a pristine sword family, and most of his character has to do with him trying to refine, his way around the blade. And It's similar to Laura's, because I do remember when I was playing Cold Steel 1 and 2, and when I would talk to my friend about Laura as a character, in comparison to the other characters in Class 7, I would say that, yeah, she probably has the weakest when it comes to the writing thing, but it's like, it's not all of them can be, I would say, on the same level. Obviously, somebody's going to be the weakest when you start comparing each other and whatnot. Someone's going to be at the bottom, someone's going to be at the top. But I don't know. Like I said, I felt Kurt, he wasn't like boring in regards to his writing thing.
I
thought yeah.
Yeah, I got honestly, I thought he was boring. You compared Kurt to Laura. I felt like even Laura had more development throughout Cold Steel 1 and 2, especially with her rivalry with Fee. That was an awesome point, like an awesome arc for them. I can't remember much of what. No, yeah, she had her thing with our father in Cold Steel 2, I believe. I think when they
I would say in regards to who Kurt has in comparison to Laura, because for Laura it's her father.
Mm-hmm.
For Kurt, that would be Mueller Vander, his older brother. But obviously the issue is Mueller Vander, when it came to Cold Steel 4, he really isn't in the forefront when it comes to the story. So that like comparison that they have when it comes to that, yeah, it can be a bit weaker, because she does have her father, and it gets further developed even in Cold Steel 4 when it comes to her. I do like the fact that even though old Class 7 was here, their stories still continued even in Cold Steel 4.
Yeah,
I did like that as well. We'll talk about that later, but yeah.
I'll
tell you what about Kurt. He has, in my opinion, he has the best new S-Craft of the new Class 7. I'll give him that.
Honestly, I can't remember it, to be honest. He was the least memorable one to me.
Gemini Judgment, man. He started like glowing white energy out of his blades, and then the background turned to space. That one was awesome. It reminded me of Righteous. What's it called? Righteous Judgment, the one that his brother had, where it was basically like a space related S-Craft as well. That's what it reminded me.
I was actually overall disappointed with a lot of the new S-Crafts.
I think the only ones that I was disappointed with was Yuna's. I was fairly disappointed.
Yuna's just a disappointment in general.
Whoa. I don't know about that.
But let's keep talking about new Class 7 for a while there. Let's talk about the biggest one, Musse. Musse
was the biggest one?
Well, I think she had the biggest story.
Oh yeah, I would say in regards to I would say definitely in regards to the overarching story of Cold Steel 4, she definitely had the most important role. I'll give you that.
Yeah, I think it was pretty. I think it was pretty cool that she was willing to devise a plan that was going to get a lot of people killed in an effort to. Was it? I don't think it was to win, but it was to stalemate ultimately, wasn't it? Or
it was to stalemate, but yeah, it would cost a lot of lives to do so.
Yeah,
she thought that this was the only way to do it. Mille Mirage was a very interesting operation, especially when you saw that they had Cassius Brad on their team. Their side when it came to, I was like, holy fucking shit. But no, Musse had some really good parts when it came to everything that had to do with Mille Mirage, because you know how she was basically the Emma of Cold Steel 3. Like she was very
for the most part, yep.
She was very secretive. Like damn, what's up about this chick, man? Why is she hiding all this stuff? And then we find out all of that stuff in Cold Steel 4. It was great.
I remember talking to some people that they didn't like the fact that Musse had that special power of being able to see 20 moves ahead or something like that.
I don't see an issue with that.
I don't see too big of an issue with that either.
It
was explained well enough.
Yeah, she's just an over-analyzer to the point where that's what it is.
And plus, it kind of fits with her character. Like, remember Reen said in Cold Steel 3 that it feels like all her moves are like not just her moves, like everything about her, everything she does is calculated.
Mm-hmm.
It just fits with the character to me, which I kind of saw in Cold Steel 3. Like she her reactions and the way she just carried herself was very automated.
Yeah. Honestly, the only thing that was like that didn't really follow all of her like her over analyzation and all of this like carefully planning stuff is when it came to Reen. Because obviously when it came to Reen, she would just turn into this little girly this little girly thirsty girl and all this stuff. So he was like the only like thing that was like different about her character. But yeah, I've always liked Muse. Muse is one of my like favorite newer characters.
Yeah, I thought she was great too. It's just her gun is way too big, but like the gun is bigger than her sometimes. I'm like, what the freak?
It's a rifle.
Yeah, I think
it's
it's
a rifle.
I think it's huge though.
A long rifle.
Like she should barely be able to carry that.
You say that, but then you look at fucking Ren with that giant ass scythe.
I also like the fact that little gun she had for herself was used in the Mystic Art. Nice little touch.
Oh yeah, did she have a special
Yeah.
plan for that gun? She was gonna off herself after
Yeah,
she
that was
Make
that was
herself
some-
a martyr.
yeah.
that was some dark shit. I was like, holy shit. She on some Persona 3 shit right now. I also like the craft that came with that move too. That was
Yeah.
cool.
So what about oh, you got something to say about music?
No. Yeah, no, continue.
Okay, yeah. I was gonna move on to Ash real quick. Just one thing about Ash. It's like, how did this man escape the Black Workshop? How did he get out? Like, from what I know, that thing is filled to the brim with security, and then all of a sudden he escaped out of nowhere. Did anybody help him? Did what's her name? Vita help her? I was like, Vel help him? I'm like, how'd you get out? I'm like, all right, I guess I gotta take that face value. I don't know how you got out, but and how do you not know where it's at?
It's fucking Ash. So it's like I don't. Yeah, that's one part. I was just like, they just show a little cutscene, and he's like sneaking. He's like,
Yeah,
he's like, shouldn't you be like locked up? Because when
that's
Ring
what
was
I'm
in there,
saying.
when Ring was in there, that boy was locked the fuck down.
I just
He was
assumed
not
they
going-
didn't care. Like he served his purpose. But then it raised the question, why was he there then in the first place? Like, just one of those things or whatever. Let's just continue.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of the things I had to just like turn my head or turn my eyes away and just like say, all right, forget it. I'm not gonna think about this anymore.
Yeah,
But
nitpick.
actually, the whole story, like overall story with his father and such, I thought that was really good.
I liked the because obviously, just like Ash is a character that they obviously from the beginning of Trails did not really have planned, right? And he was retroactively added to an already existing story that happened in Trails in the Sky, right? So it's like
Oh yeah,
the way that they, I guess, retroactively added him to that and made it work, I felt it was actually very good. I remember when they were at the part where they were fighting those Zalber soldats. I think it was the part where Bao was like, "How is Estelle and Joshua taking out these new Zalber soldats?" It was around that part, when you just see Rufus get his divine knight in that forest by Michelin. Yeah, that area. So when those characters came in, you see Ash in his soldat, and you see he's like irked because this is his first time seeing Joshua since Hamel. That whole I remember when I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, because they have that connection and all that stuff, and how all of that played out. I thought it was very very nice. I thought it was good. I liked it all.
yeah. I like how how Ash and Johan, they had Ash and him and Joshua have like a little camaraderie, like brotherhood thing there going on there. Cause they all Ash was extremely young. He was like probably like what was he, like a baby, 4 months old, 5 months old, something like that.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah. So they have like some type of brotherhood thing going on, which I thought that was pretty cute.
Yeah, I thought that was a cool way, especially when you're on the ship of the Panther. What was it, Panther Girl? When you're on,
I forgot what it's called. I know what you're talking about though.
yeah, the Panther Girl, when you're walking around talking to everyone, and you have that moment of just Joshua talking to Ash about that whole thing. like I said, that was all good. I liked all of it, and the fact that he had a moment of weakness where Kurt was able to pull him back up and get him out of that. That was a nice part too, because when you saw your boy come in, Gilbert Stein, that was a great surprise. That was a great surprise. That whole part with Ash, and the fact that Zephyr was trying to recruit him, that was some good stuff too. They did. I think they did a good job with Ash and his S craft, his new S craft. That was one of the newer S crafts that I liked as well.
What do we think of Juna?
I hated her in Cold Steel 3, but she changed my mind in Cold Steel 4 when she became like the impromptu leader up to Reen's rescue. Also, I love the fact that she is like the only character we've seen get under Campanella's skin.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's definitely true. That was weird seeing Campanella a little bit irked. I was like, whoa, getting emotional here, my guy or my girl.
Yeah, we gonna talk about that here. In a second,
Yeah.
no, I agree with about. I do felt that character development related, Yuna was she definitely got a lot of. I think out of new Class 7, she got I felt she got the most good moments in the game for her. For the first one was when you first get to the hidden village, and she brings the original Class 7 to have a talk with them, and she's basically drilling them a new one in regards to basically feeling down in the dumps and not really doing anything to try and rescue Reen and all that stuff. That was her doing. Remember, she brought everyone here, including new and old Class 7, because everybody was just there moping until she stood up and said something. And then the part that Bao said in regards to her getting under Campanella's skin, she was basically like, "What do you even do?" I felt the voice actor. She did a really good job on
Yeah.
a lot of her lines.
I like how Juna brought that up, like you said, like what do you even do? I was like, I'm surprised I haven't questioned that yet. What are you doing here all the time? Just to stir shit up? Just to stir the pot? Is that what is your ultimate goal here, man? I've been with you since since the beginning. I still don't know what you about.
Another good Yuna part was, I feel the reason why I have to from a character development standpoint, I put her above Musse was because she was the one who basically made Yuna come to her senses and join back with new Class 7. When she was really adamant about Mille Mirage, when you are trying to recruit her, it was Yuna who was the one who was basically telling her that, yeah, you may have all of this planned out and Mille Mirage and all that stuff, but deep down you're still a 16-year-old girl going through all of this stuff. You have your crush and this and that. She basically read Musse like a book, to the point where Musse was even shocked that she was saying all of this stuff about her, and Musse basically was like, "Damn, you're right," and basically she basically put Aurelia Le Guin in charge of Mille Mirage as she went to new Class 7, correct?
Yeah, basically,
something like that. Yeah. So it's like I felt Yuna had a lot of good parts. There was one more after that. I can't remember what the fourth one was, but it was one that led to Reen saying, that he felt that she was she's basically like the main character for new Class 7. Because at first, when I first started playing Cold Steel 3, I was trying to figure out who I felt would be considered the main character of new Class 7, when Reen's not there. And for a while I was debating between, was it Yuna or was it Kurt? But it's definitely Yuna. Every time the game starts you off with new Class 7.
Yeah, she's in charge.
You're walking around as Yuna, So it's like it's Yuna. So she has some good parts. Like I said, the only thing that disappointed me about Yuna is the fact that in regards to all of the new S crafts we saw in this game, hers was by far the most disappointing.
Mm-hmm. And let's talk about Altina real quick. I don't think I have too much to say about Altina. I think she was. I like her development, how she came out of her shell. She started actually showing emotions, and then when again a spoiler cast, when Milliam comes back, she starts to open up, as her being a big sister, and basically seeing where she came from. I think it was in her own bonding event. We got to go to back to the Black Workshop and see, what was it, her capsule or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool. I don't have too much to say on Altina. I thought she was just fun.
Yeah.
I think she got most of her development, or at least most of the development I cared for in 3. So I wasn't surprised she didn't get as much in 4, but what she got was good. She was just kind of there for a lot of it, but she was still likable, so I didn't mind. Like, of course, the stuff with Milliam, and like, when she had to sing for that distraction, that was kind of it for her. Like I said, I didn't mind because she got a big spotlight in 3.
I think for me, the part for Altina that I liked the most, I think, was also in that Mishilum Forest. It was right before Juna went off on Campanella. Altina was the one that was talking to Campanella about, about basically explaining why all of the stuff he's doing is like very wrong to be doing and all that stuff. And then, as far as I remember, Campanella responded to her, basically saying, "I don't need to be lectured by someone who's not even human," type of shit. And I was just like, damn, you just gonna disrespect Altina's existence like that, But that's when stepped in and started clapping back on Campanella. And one of the things she did say during that part was that Altina at this moment is acting more human than you ever could, basically, showing, once again saying some good shit. But she's right, Altina, even though she's a homunculus and she's not technically really a biological human and all that stuff, she's definitely showing character development that showcases that she is more human than Campanella is, which, as of right now, we really barely know shit about Campanella in the first place. So I don't even know if we want to call him human, let alone we don't even know his fucking gender.
Yeah.
So it's like, no, Altina had some good parts. That was one of my favorite parts in regards to Altina, though.
Okay. All right. Old Class 7 has a lot of characters, so we can just shout out just one character in particular that we really enjoyed for Old Class 7. I'm gonna shout out, even though I love Emma to death, I'm gonna shout out Alicia here, because Alicia, she gone through some shit. She lost her mother is basically a bitch, a cold, ice-hearted bitch, hot as hell though. Her father is an asshole for the most part, like just cold towards every time they met. She was like, "No, you're not my daughter. I'm not your father. Get out of here." And Sharon was pretty much decided to go back to Ouroboros for half of the game for the most part. So for a while there, without her grandfather, she was kind of alone there, and it kind of felt like she only had Reem to lean on for the most part. And
if you remember, oh yeah, I was gonna say, and if you remember, there was a nice little part, a nice little chunk in that game where she even felt like she couldn't really even connect with Reem because of all of the stuff that her family has done to Reem. She was at that little small part in the game. She felt like she was alone, and you playing as Reem kind of had to leave her alone for a while.
Question for you guys: did you get a scene? Because I know Shadow, you didn't pick Elisa in 3, right? You picked them, I'm assuming.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So did you get a scene where I think this was right after Reem got back, where Elisa comes up to him in the bathroom and hugs him and is like, "Okay, I was just wondering." I was just like, "Yeah, our relationship has to be on pause." Yeah, I thought that was a great little scene with her.
So wait, neither did Bao. I know you said you looked it up on YouTube. Shadow, did you see the Elisa final bonding event?
Oh, I reload every game and saw everybody's final bonding event.
Okay. So I want to say right now, once a fucking again, like she already proved in Cold Steel 2, that Elisa is ahead of all of the chicks, right? But if you remember, back in Cold Steel 2, when we were doing these final bonding events for the female characters, all of them either got a very embracing hug or a head pat, right? And what did Elisa get in Cold Steel 2? Elisa got a whole French kick.
I think that was a Cold Steel 3, wasn't it?
No, this was in Cold Steel 2. They had
okay.
a straight up every other character except for Elisa got either a hug, a very long hug, or a head pat. Elisa was the only one that got a straight up French kiss. It was going in, right? We get to Cold Steel, and no, you're right. During parts of Cold Steel 3, and these weren't even like bonding events with Elisa. These were just straight up in there. They were showing like, affection, love affection. But the final bonding events in Cold Steel 4, all of the original Class 7 females, other than Milliam, they all got a kiss this time around, right? And then all of the new Class 7 girls, they got either a hug or Reen saying that, when you're older, when you graduate type of stuff. But Elisa gets a hug, then she gets a kiss, and then the fireworks go off, and then you hear her say, "Can I spend a night?" Really?
Yeah.
Can I spend a night?
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah. And
Okay.
you know what the hell happened after that? Basically confirming Elisa once again, she's ahead of everybody else. Everybody else got a kiss. Elisa got that dick.
Oh my
So
god.
can we talk about the fact that Juna got done dirty in the final event?
That was hilarious.
Oh, I think Juna had the best one. She had the best one.
Handshake. What? Not even a hug, a handshake.
I thought it was hilarious.
I thought it was great. That was funny. But yeah, I was wondering how they were going to handle Reen's relationship when it came to his students, because you know how certain people are going to go when it comes to now the teacher is trying to pursue the student, all that stuff. It seems that something tells me that Falcon probably was like, you know what, when it comes to the romantic options, when it comes to his students, let's try to keep it as like professional and as clean as possible, right? So we're not going to make Reen kiss or show that he wants to get with them right fucking now, but let's just make him say that when you're older we will have this conversation another time. But it was funny how Juna reacted to that. She was like, what the fuck, what do you mean? That was hilarious.
Right.
But yeah, going back to the original Class 7, at least I had a lot of good parts in this game.
So I guess Riku, who do you think of old Class 7 was the had the best moments? Give a shout out.
Yeah. As far as best moments, I really couldn't tell you, but in regards to who I would personally shout out, and it's surprising that I'm choosing this person to shout out, but it's Fee. I really liked the stuff that Fee had going on, because obviously since Cold Steel 1, her story path has been her catching up to her Zephyr crew, right? And then we see in Cold Steel 4 that Rutger, he's still alive and he's doing stuff. Well, he's back alive, should I say, and he's doing stuff. And by the end of the game, it felt like Fee's story since the beginning of Cold Steel 1 did reach a very satisfying conclusion. It felt that she definitely got a very nice closure when it came to Rutger leaving this time around than he did the first time he went out, and I really liked it a lot. I enjoyed it a lot, because I'm not even that big of a Fee fan, but I really liked Fee's character arc and its conclusion in this game.
Yeah, I felt like Fee almost moved up a space for me when it came to characters that I really like, or best girls rather, that kind of stuff. She kind of moved up to second place almost. Yeah, for me.
Yeah, I was very impressed by Fee. In regards to gameplay, man, is that boy Machias, but in regards to character arcs, it's Fee. I really enjoyed Fee, but that's probably because it was directly connected to Rutger, who I definitely want to talk about him later. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wow, what about you?
I would actually go with the uses for this one, shocking.
Ooh, yeah, bro. Uses.
Like I never thought I'd say that, but Eustace really impressed me this game. I really love the confrontation finally with him and his brother.
Oh my gosh. That was so
Um,
good.
him and Milliam's whole relationship. I love how that happened. Although I still don't. I feel like they wanted to do a romantic relationship, but they were kind of on the fence, with how Milliam looks.
Yeah.
I think when it comes to Eustace and Milliam's relationship, it is very similar to what Agate and Tita's relationship is, where it's like that Falcom is trying to ship these two, but their age is so like it's very far apart that what they're doing right now is kind of all they should kind of do. So it just feels like it's a
And it's
cute
not
little...
helped by the fact Milliam can age. So
True. Like unless because we've already seen that, especially when it came to this game, that they can write their way into some sort of reasoning to make something seem like, oh well, that basically makes sense. I can get behind that. I wouldn't be surprised if, like, let's say freaking all the way past the Calvary games when we see the Class VII characters again, Milliam got some type of like upgrade and she's she's like, she looks grown and she has an actual like nice grown female figure, all that stuff. But no, you're right. Eustace.
But yeah, one of the hypest moments of the game for me was Eustace pulling out that sword in the duel against his brother.
Dude,
that was a really cool moment. Like I didn't expect them to actually let him use that.
Yeah, because that was a part of his the Iolos saber, a part of his S-craft, right?
Yeah,
so it's like it was actually cool to find out more about those swords, because to be honest, up to this point, we really didn't know shit about these swords. Right?
Nope, just cool looking swords as far as I know.
Yeah, and they even though it was very quick, they did explain to like the backstory behind the swords and the fact that Rufus has one, his brother has the next. It was cool during the fight. He's literally holding it, because when it comes to this game, like obviously when you get new equipment, they don't fucking change, So it was cool to see that in that fight, he's not. It wasn't one of those things that they kind of like lazied their way out of, like, oh yeah, he is holding the sword, but when you get into the battle, he's not actually holding the sword. No, he was actually holding the sword in the battle.
And I felt like it was a good ending to Eustace's story arc, because he was already Lord Alborea, but Eustace was the one, not Eustace, his brother Rufus, was the one that everyone held in high regard as like the most accomplished member of the family. And him finally conquering his brother just felt like a really good moment. And of course, that punch at the end.
Oh my god! It felt so good, bro. Yeah, no, because it's like, we all remember that freaking 2-hour long cutscene during that part when they had their like faces up there and Rufus was talking. I was thinking to myself, shouldn't Eustace, like, they obviously care about giving characters a moment to say certain things when it feels right, and most of the time the characters do say certain things when they should. But during that part, all Eustace was saying was, dot, dot, dot. Like, Eustace, what do you, he was just holding everything in for like basically the entire game until you get to that part and you have to fight that rivalry. And, you're fighting the rivalry. And during the rivalry, Eustace is not like, participating during the rivalry unless you have him like as a support. But, story wise, he's not really participating against this rivalry, fighting Rufus. But as soon as the rivalry is over and you see Crow and Reen come out of their like Divine Knights, you see Eustace walking down the middle like, yeah, my niggas beat your ass. I'm like, oh, here he goes. And then freaking Rufus just sitting there and he's just like, he's about to pass out. And then Rufus is saying he's about to pass out, and Eustace is like, nah, you're not about to pass out. I'm about to knock you the fuck out. You gonna pass out that way. That was so good, man. I really didn't see that punch coming. That was great.
Yeah, I gave it to Eustace on that one.
Yeah, that was great. No, you are completely correct. Eustace is that's a good shout out.
All right. Let's take a little step back from the characters for now. Let's talk about one of the things I've constantly be seeing in message boards, comment sections, stuff on Twitter, some reviews. Let's talk about the curse, because it seems that it was kind of hit or miss kind of thing when it came to the curse.
I did not like the curse at all. Like
Yeah.
at the end of 3, I thought it was cool. Like, oh my god, everything's like being shrouded in darkness. I can't wait to see what happens. And then we got to this game, and I feel like the curse was. I don't want to call it a lazy plot device. I think they just went too far with it. It's like if you need something done, blame the curse. People are wanting war, curse. People are acting weird, curse. These mechs are powered up, curse. Like, and also, it's sort of unrelated. Well, no, it's related. A lot of the major character motivations that we've been wondering about for so long have just been chalked up to either the curse or Ishmelda or Black Albrecht, like Cedric. That was like one of the most disappointing moments of the game for me. We found out he was basically brain controlled this whole time to be an asshole, and it wasn't really like fully his development. That was like a major buzzkill for me because I've been wondering for so long, like, what the heck happened to this kid specifically to make him go through such a change, besides just, the kidnapping from 2. And then we find out he's just been under the influence this whole time.
In regards to Cedric and him being under the influence, at least for me, it feels like at least it wasn't taken to the level of what was the other character who was I forget his name right now. It was him.
Oh,
and Bridget.
the soldier dude, right?
Yeah, the kid who's his girlfriend was Bridget. I felt he was like under the influence a bit too much, more so than Cedric.
I do like the fact though that I forgot who, maybe it was Shirley, but they say, yeah, just because you're under a curse, that doesn't excuse your actions. I'm glad they pointed that out because it would have really bummed me out if everyone was like, oh, you're under the influence of the curse, we're all cool now. But no, they didn't go that route, and I was glad about that.
Yeah, and the only reason I'm not going too deep on Cedric as a character when it comes to him being under the influence is because of that one scene that you have when you I think it was a bonding event with Alphen, where Alphen you go down to the land with Valimar and Alphen, and you meet up with Cedric, and Cedric is basically Alphen and Cedric are basically having this like argument in front of Reen. Reen's only there to like make sure Alphen is safe, but he didn't say anything during that back and forth that they had, which I like that. Reen doesn't have to be the voice of reason or have a moment to say something just because he's the main character. But yeah, the moment that Cedric had with Alphen there, where it basically showed that Cedric, there's still a Cedric in there, because he wouldn't be here telling Alphen to go and spend time with Mother right now while this war is happening, basically trying to get Alphen, because he genuinely feels that Reen's team is gonna lose, and when they're gonna lose, there's gonna be some blowback, and I don't want Alphen to be a part of that blowback. Get out of there, So it did show that Cedric's, a part of Cedric was still there, because if he was, if it was fully under influence, I would assume that he wouldn't have cared, type of thing, And then another part where he said that he felt vaguely relieved that Olivier was still alive. I felt like if he was heavily influenced, like none of these type of characteristics that is Cedric should be showcased, which they still were. So that's probably why I'm not going super deep on Cedric in regards to that. Like I said, I'm more so when it came to that other character. I can't remember his name right now, but you know who I'm talking about. But in regards to the curse, to be honest with you, I honestly did not have an issue with the curse because of the fact that I do hear a lot of people say that they felt the curse came out of nowhere, and it's causing they're using it as a cop out for a lot of things. And my response to that is, one, when it came to Cold Steel as a saga, 4 games, long as fuck, all that stuff, the curse was built up to Cold Steel 4 and it was a part and foreshadowed in Cold Steel 1, 2, and 3 and the Black Records and all that stuff. But especially in Cold Steel 3, where the villain's main purpose for that entire game, which that game is very long, their main purpose was to activate the curse. So it's like when it came to the curse doing stuff in Cold Steel 4, which if they're setting this up for 3 games and they really only have 1 game to showcase all of the stuff that they were setting up for, it felt like if they really didn't go all out on the curse, that let's say they really didn't go all out on the curse, like how significant this curse affects people. It feels like if they really didn't go all out, people would be complaining on the fact that they felt that the curse didn't really serve a purpose or wasn't that significant in regards to influencing people in the first place. So what was the point of the curse being there? You know, it felt like it was either one thing or the other when it comes to how they could have handled the curse when it was something that was set up all the way up to this point. If there is one thing in regards to characters being influenced by something that I felt was probably a more so of a plot device and can be debatably considered weak writing, was actually the mask. The mask that they showed in Cold Steel 3, when you see with Crow, right? They didn't really explain the mask in Cold Steel 3. You just saw that he had a mask on and he didn't know who he was. He was going by the Azure Siegfried, you know, and he was doing all of this stuff.
I didn't even know until they explained it. It was like, oh, that's what the mask was for. Like I thought it was just to look cool. I know it actually had a function.
Yeah. So it's like, even though the mask looked cool, and you even see Reen have one in the opening, which that really that wasn't even a part of the story. But you know, the mask, when they showcase the mask in Cold Steel 3, and you see Crow have it on, and he's doing all of this stuff that he really isn't explaining in Cold Steel 3, and then you get to the end of Cold Steel 3, and then for some reason the mask just cracks and it falls off, and he's like, "Oh, I remember everything now," and then he helps them stop Reen from attacking Osborn and all that stuff. I personally got irked with the mask when it came to that because, you know, it just so happened to break off at the right time, you know, that type of stuff. But then we get to Cold Steel 4, and then we see, you know, he's not the only one who's wearing the mask. We find out that Angelica is wearing a mask, and then we also find out that Viscount Arce was wearing a mask. And, you know, they are being influenced and forced to do things because of the mask. You know, things that they wouldn't be doing. So it just felt like when it came to the curse, I felt the curse had more of a reason to be there and do what it was written and set up to do, more so than the mask, which, like I said, it felt like that one came out of nowhere. It got, you know, midway through the Cold Steel 3, and then you see it used 2 more times in Cold Steel 4. I don't know. I feel like everyone was drilling the curse when, in my opinion, everybody should be drilling those fucking masks. That was it for me, you know. That's how I saw the curse. I didn't have an issue with the curse since it was set up and all that stuff.
Overall for me, I didn't think the curse was too bad. They introduced it as a way as people not doing things they would normally do, I guess, and it fueled the draft for the war.
Wow.
I felt like it was properly implemented into the game. Now, I'll say this, there were some moments with a lot of side quests. It was just like, oh, the curse is causing this problems. Go kill this enemy, or go kill this horse that suddenly got turned into a monster by the curse, or something like that. That was the only time I ever felt the curse was a little bit, it was starting to be a little bit much. You were just creating the curse for everything, just everything you needed to make the curse for, especially even for like side quests. You did it for that, and I was like, okay. In the main story, I can get the curse, but everywhere else, you're starting to get a little bit excessive, just a little bit.
I could understand being a little bit excessive, but like I said, I really do feel like they probably went into Cold Steel 4 feeling like we really have to push this curse. Like across all of Erebor. You saw the end of Cold Steel 4. The entire map was fucking purple type of shit, you know? So it's like it being presented in a decent amount of the side quests, showcasing that, yeah, the curse is fucking with the civilians and people as well. I personally didn't have an issue with it, but I can agree that it could make the side quests seem more samey because, you know, your base, it's going to be curse related, you know.
Yeah.
That's Cold Steel 4. Like, even when you reach to the end of the game and Ring's hair finally turns back to its original color, you find out that the only reason it was staying, you know, white in the first place was because he was the sacrifice and it was the curse and all of that stuff, you know. So it's like the curse was definitely like a heavy reason in this game. And to be fair, when it comes to a story, like a plot device existing in a story isn't necessarily a bad thing. Plot devices exist in every single story that you could think of, you know. You just have to find them, you know. That's how a story, I feel that's how stories are built, with plot devices to get story from A to B and all that stuff. It's how it's executed. And in regards to the curse, like I said, I don't really have an issue with it. I more so have an issue with the mask. I felt that was a lazy plot device, those masks.
Okay. Yeah. All right, guys. This is about kind of be our, like, our pause moment because we just went over an hour. Bob, how much more time you got?
Probably 30-40 minutes.
Okay. So I guess we can go into the next one and then we can discuss some more things that Bob you want to discuss. But while you're here, I wanna discuss what I felt was a little bit disappointing, almost majorly disappointing. So was kind of the lack of consequences for some characters. Like at the end of Cold Steel 3, we saw a lot of people die, and I thought they were gonna stay dead. I was like, you guys actually pulled the trigger on this. They're gonna stay dead. Like, nope, none of these people died. What was his name? Olivier, he's alive. Mula's alive. Taval's alive. I'm like, yeah, all alive. I'm like, yo, okay. So low key, when that happened in Cold Steel 3, I was like, I didn't believe it. I was like, y'all ain't dead. Let me go on Wikipedia right now. Y'all ain't dead. I was like, yo,
really?
Yeah, I did. I literally did. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't believe it for a second. There's always been a problem with this series. It's like sticking not just to deaths, but like things happening to people, like Milliam.
Oh, that was a big one for me. I was like, this whole game, as soon as I put the game in, I was like, Milliam better stay
Milliam
dead.
being okay was just like, it took all the impact away from that.
Exactly.
It's like, okay, then whatever. She's fine.
And then the true ending, she gets her body back. I'm like,
right,
yo, I really don't want to pull a trigger on anybody dying here. I don't think anybody really died in the whole series.
All right.
So, only immortals died in this game, I think.
Oh, well, no, I think even then, like, didn't Crow come back?
No. All right, so let me talk about.
About this. Zypher got it. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Alrighty. So I'm gonna go back to the beginning, right? Trails in the Sky, first chapter, right? When it comes to notable character deaths, there were as far as I remember, 0 notable character deaths. And when I say notable character deaths, I'm just talking about notable characters. They don't necessarily have to be a part of the playable squad, you know, just a notable character. For Trails in the Sky first chapter, there were 0. When we got to Trails in the Sky second chapter, as far as I remember, there were 2 notable character deaths. There was Louve and White Weissman. You know, he got shot in the chest and turned into a pillar of salt. You know, he's fucking dead. He's dead as fuck. You know, so there's 2. We get to Trails in the Sky third chapter, there's 0. We get to Zero no Kiseki. In my opinion, there's 1 notable character death, and that's obviously just the main villain of that game when he died. Get to Ao no Kiseki.
You talking about the lawyer, right?
Say what?
Who are you talking about? Zero no Kiseki or
the main villain of Zero no Kiseki, the guy with the blue hair.
Oh, what's his name? The leader of the DG cult. Yeah. Okay,
yeah, the leader of the DG cult. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
In Ao no Kiseki, as far as I remember, There isn't any. Even that professor at the end where we saw Maribel shoot him with the spears. Apparently, he survived.
Yeah, I think he did. Yeah, now I think about it. Yeah, he survived.
Yeah. But technically, since it happened in Owl, you can consider who was the dude? Oh fuck, what is his name right now? He was a part of Crow's team when he.
Vulcan.
No.
Oh,
that's
no. Oh,
Cool
never mind. You talking about dude with the glasses? He visits his grandma in this game or whatever, his mom.
Yeah. We see him technically. Gideon. There we go. Yes, Gideon. Technically, Gideon died in Owl. We didn't see his face. He had a helmet on when that massacre happened. Apparently, he was a part of that. We see more of Gideon when we get to Cold Steel 1, who he is, and then we find out he went to Crossbell, and then we get to Cold Steel 2, and apparently he died when he was in Crossbell at Owl. So I'll give that to Owl. Technically, he died in Owl, so I'll give that one. As far as I know, there was only one notable character death in Owl, and that's Gideon. Get the Cold Steel 1, and as far as I remember, there isn't any. Mm-hmm. We get the Cold Steel 2, and as far as I remember, and this is where it starts to get debatable, so stick with me here. I personally say there are two notable character deaths in Cold Steel 2. There is Vulcan. He died in that big mobile armor. He's confirmed dead. Like, there's no debate about that. Second one is Crow. Crow died in Cold Steel 2. Like I said, this gets debatable. Stay with me here.
I mean, he's on stream right now, so go ahead.
Yeah. So we get the Cold Steel 3, right? And let's say you don't know anything about Cold Steel 4 and all that stuff. Let's say you only know what the characters know, right? So we find out that Crow is not dead. But like I said, I'm not going to take that one away from Cold Steel 2. Like, during the time you played Cold Steel 2, you assumed he was dead, so I'm just going to give it to that, right? But when it came to at the end of Cold Steel 3, who did you think was dead? We had Viscount Arcade, right?
Mm-hmm.
We had Olivier, he was on that ship. We had Toval, he was on that ship. You had Milliam, who we saw her get slashed and died. And then was there one more? Or was that just the four of them right there?
I think it was it Mueller?
No, not Mueller. Mueller
okay.
Mueller Vander, he was fine.
Oh, okay. I thought he was also on that ship. Okay.
Right. I feel like I'm missing one, but we're just gonna leave it at that as far as thinking that they're dead, right? We get the Cold Steel 4 now, right? So we find out that Toval, he came out perfectly fine, right? We see that Olivier, he lost an eye, right? We see that Viscount Arcade lost an arm, right? But technically all of them are alive, right? The only people that really lost something, the only thing we actually lost was an eye and an arm. We get to Milliam, and like you guys said, by the end of the game, she gets everything back. And in regards to Crow gets confirmed to get his stuff back. So in regards to Cold Steel 4, I actually think Cold Steel 4 has the most deaths. So listen to this. So this one is debatable, but yeah, like Bao said, only the immortals died. But when you look at Arianhad technically never died in the first place. So her dying in this game is a legit death. People want to debate, just like how Crow was, where Crow, he died, then he came back, and then some people don't consider that a death in the first place. That I can understand if you want to consider that debatable, if you want to consider that a death or not, because he's alive right now. But the only comparison I can make to that is Dragon Ball, where it's does anybody die in Dragon Ball? Technically, no. Do people die in Dragon Ball and they come back? Yes. Was that a death? Technically, yes. Did they come back? Yes. So it's I felt when it came to Crow and Rutger, they fall under that category of, yeah, they died, but they came back, which is why I didn't take that death away from Cold Steel 2. But when it came to Rutger, when we started the franchise, he's already dead. You know, we find out he died with fighting against the Constellation's like main guy. He's dead before we even get into whatever story we're getting into. But we find out that he came back alive. And then by the end of Cold Steel 4, he dies again, you know? So, and like I said, when it came to that whole closure, when it came to Fee, it really did feel like we were losing a character. So it's like, I personally consider that a legit death, because it felt like when it came to him going around and doing stuff in Cold Steel 3 and 4, Rutger felt like he was alive. During this time, he was alive. He was doing stuff, you know? And it was him. It wasn't like some mind control or not really him. This was him as a person continuing his characterization and development and seeing Fee grow into the character that she is. And he also got his closure when it came to seeing where Fee is at the end of her story. So it's like, I can't consider that not a death. Rutger died in Cold Steel 4. Did he die before? Yes. But he did die again. So it's like, I can't take that away from Rutger, just like I can't take that death away from Arianhad.
I think we're just talking about like really the lack of consequences for it, because we felt so much emotion when it came to Crow dying. I was shocked when Crow died. And then, I go online, I go see some Trails of Cold Steel update. I see that, promotional material. He's alive. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yo, trust me, when I saw that Cold Steel 3 opening for the first time, and I saw Azure Siegfried, Crow running around with a mask on, bro, you don't know how mad I was infuriated, I was like, they better have a good fucking reason why this motherfucker's still alive.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I don't mind the reasoning that they gave, But going back to like Rutger, so as of right now, like I said, I'm considering 2 deaths right now, right? 2. The third one I put under that category as well is Black Alberich, aka Franz, Elisa's father. He technically didn't die before. His Franz as a character got severely suppressed and taken over by Black Alberich, right? So back for majority, if not all of this game, it was Black Alberich that we were seeing, but Franz was still in there and still alive. At the end of this game, when they did all of this stuff to bring all of those characters back, and Elise is like, we can't do anything for my dad, and freaking Franz is sitting there like, nah, I'm fucking dead. I'm out of here, So I consider that another death right there. So that's 3. And these last 2, I don't give a fuck what nobody says, right? These are character deaths. And these last 2 characters are Valimar and Ordine, right? Because Valimar and Ordine are characters. They were a part of this story. Valimar is very close to Reen, and he is a character himself. We saw him grow, and we know stuff about him. And we actually got to learn a lot about Ordine as well. And as far as we know, in regards to this franchise, all Divine Knights are gone from this series now. They're all fucking dead. They've sacrificed themselves to, bring a body back to Crow or something. But the point is, moving forward with this franchise, there is no more Divine Knights. Divine Knights are done. It's over. They're all dead, right? So if you want to be picky, you can fucking start naming. Oh yeah, well that means Zector is dead too, and I'm not gonna go all in all of that, right? I'm only taking Valimar and Ordine because those were the ones we really connect with. We've used them. We know what they're about, and now they're gone. We're not seeing them anymore, right? So I'm considering those 2 character deaths as well. So for me personally, that brings the death count up to 5. And like I said, naming all of the franchises before it was either 0, 1, or 2 at most. So in regards to the impactfulness of the character deaths that we had prior to Cold Steel 4, so like you said, the Crow one, or even the Luve one, some people crying like a motherfucker over Luve back in Trails in the Sky 2nd chapter. I wasn't really crying that much, but people still crying to this day about Luve. But as far as the impactfulness, yeah, you can debate about which one was more impactful and all of this stuff, and then it being taken away and all that other stuff. But me personally, bro, I am kind of sad that I'm never gonna see Valimar ever fucking again.
Oh my god.
I'm sorry. I'm being real with you. I'm kind of sad that I ain't never gonna see Valimar again.
Hey man, people be coming back in the series left and right, so you never know. He might come back.
You
somewhere.
never know. All I'm saying,
as far
as I know, Valimar ain't coming back. None of the Divine Knights are. Apparently they have Panzer Soldates still doing things in the future, but they are not Divine Knights, as far as I heard. You know.
Hey, so, I thought Milliam was really dead for a while there, and I
actually got spoiled on that, sadly.
And
I actually think it was in your Discord. But
I hate to see
it was someone in your Discord, and they were talking about, you know, the fact that Milliam's not. No. I got spoiled on the fact that she died in Cold Steel 4, not the fact that she was alive. I think the thing that spoiled me on the fact that she was back alive was there was a screenshot from Hajimari, and it showed that Milliam was there. I was like, "What the fuck is Milliam doing there? Shouldn't she be dead?" I was like, "Oh God, I just got spoiled." You know, that's what spoiled me on Milliam. But yeah, like I said, in regards to the entire franchise, everyone complaining about characters not dying and all that stuff. Like I said, in my opinion, Cold Steel 4 is the one that actually had the most character deaths. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, you kind of reaching there, but yeah, I'm just personally saying that the deaths kind of mean nothing. And you made a comparison to Dragon Ball Z, and like in Dragon Ball Z, we know we have like the Dragon Balls that are gonna bring people back. We kind of already know it. It's been a step for that. For this series, we kind of don't know when a character dies if they can ever come back. The fact that they do come back, it kind of just takes away from the whole thing. I would have been satisfied if Milliam just been like within the sword. I forgot what the sword was called. If she was just in there,
the sword of the end.
Yeah. If she was just in there and maybe Reen just
felt her like 90% of the game.
I know, but like she came back still. She ended up being a projection that can just interact with everybody. I was like, so she ain't dead. I was like, what the freak?
Here's the thing when it comes to the type of franchise they're dealing with. Like I said, all of this is just speculation and an assumption in regards to what is going on when it comes to their decision in regards to if a character should be killed off or not. I am someone, and maybe you guys have done this in the past, maybe you haven't, but I am someone who is guilty of dropping a series or a show that I've been watching or a franchise or whatever just because my favorite character died, right? And I wouldn't be surprised if they felt that when it comes to certain characters, they shouldn't kill them off because of what could possibly happen in regards to like people dropping the series because their favorite character died and all that stuff. I actually heard someone drop the series when they saw Luve. I was like, what the fuck? Really? Luve? That's the second fucking game in this 9-game franchise. You dropped it there. But apparently that's the thing. But regardless, that's not really a good enough reason to not kill a character off. But I would say that, like I said, they said that they have this overarching story planned out for a very long time. So who knows what plans they actually had for the characters that you thought would have that you thought died in the games, in these last 2 games. For me personally, one character in Cold Steel 4 that I actually feel is my favorite character in Cold Steel 4, like overall, all of the fucking characters you're using and seeing and all that stuff. The one character that I liked the most was actually Crow. And it's like Crow, if Crow did die back in Cold Steel 2, I wouldn't have had any of that like vast enjoyment that I had that they did with Crow in this game. Even down to his fucking gameplay, where it's like when you get him and you realize that Juna is not only Yuna's not the only character that can swap between projectile and melee style weapons anymore. Crow can do it too. He can swap out his dual guns that he was using when he was Azure Siegfried, or his dual saber that he was, that you've seen him using. You can do that too. Like even down to his gameplay and him summoning Ordi and all that stuff. I had a lot of fucking fun with Crow, and him as a character and all that stuff. And I personally wouldn't have gotten that if he died back in Cold Steel 2. Did I want him to die back in Cold Steel 2? Yeah. I'm not saying that I didn't, But what I'm saying right now is that, I fairly enjoyed the fact that Crow is here and alive and kicking and all that stuff. So it's like, I don't know what they should really do when it comes to like the character that's moving forward, because like I said, it's a very wishy-washy and double-edged sword when it comes to, yeah, we should off this character right now, and then like, all of that stuff that could happen. Like I said, in regards to characters that did die, I'm sorry, Valimar's not here no more.
Oh my god.
I don't know how you guys are not feeling anything for Valimar. Bao, weren't you an Ordine fan? You don't feel anything that Ordine is gone forever. Aren't you a fan of Divine Knights? I think Bao's dead.
Yeah, he's
Bao
dead.
died.
We lost his
We
man.
killed Bao.
We killed Bao.
That's another character death. We got a character death right here in the Spoilercast. Bao's dead, people. Confirmed. Not seeing it for the Hajimari no Kiseki Spoilercast. Bao's dead as fuck.
Oh man. But yeah, I did like Valimar. I did kind of miss like he was silent for most of the game, and whenever Reendal called on him, I always said acknowledged in my head. That's kind of how I felt, But
Can you guys hear me?
yeah, I can hear you.
My mic just died. I don't know what the heck was happening. I was talking.
Okay, go ahead.
You were asking about Ordine. Yeah, Ordine, like all the Divine Knight's death sucks because that was one of my favorite things that attracted me to the series. And also, I was gonna say, one thing I wish they did was not flesh out, but give the other Divine Knights more lines so we can actually see what their personalities were like.
Yeah, because right when they're leaving, they're talking about the fact that Ishmelga is no longer a part of their Divine Knight like crew and all that stuff. That was really the only time we got to hear certain Divine Knights speak in full. Like I think that was the first time we heard Zector say full lines. That was the first time we heard Adion Hod's Divine Knights say full lines, and that was the first time we heard the Crimson Vermilion, I think his name was.
They all got just one line before,
Yeah.
like right before the final rivalries, and that was it.
Yeah, the Crimson Knight or the Vermilion. The Vermilion Knight, that's what it's called. Testrosta. There we go. Yeah, you're right. Or is that the Monster Hunter thing? Whatever. It doesn't matter. You know who I'm talking about. I agree with you. I really wish we got more dialogue from them, but I think in regards to how the story was written, it didn't really give them that much of an opportunity for that spotlight. Maybe when those characters, when we saw them summon their Divine Knight, they could have given them lines during those parts. Like, the first Divine Knight fight we had in this game was against Zector, or was it Testrosha? One of those two. It was like those were like the first two that we did. They could have had lines there. I agree with that.
All right. So Bao, is there anything else you want to discuss? I think your time's a little bit limited.
I will say that this was a great game, but as the, I guess, final game, and not just the Cold Steel series, but like this major arc they've been building up to, it was okay.
Yeah, I feel the same way too.
Like, maybe I just had my expectations too high, but a lot of this game didn't feel like a finale, so to speak. Like, it just felt like another Cold Steel game until, like, the end.
Okay.
Did you feel it was the same way, Shadow?
Yeah, for the most part. Like, the whole game didn't, like, completely wow and blow me away. I don't know. Maybe it's the fact that, like, even before going to this, we knew about Hajimari no Kizuki, and we know that the creators want to go on forever when it comes to this series. That they're probably going to go to Calvary and stuff like that. Because usually when it comes to stuff like this, in particular, like endings, they're like endings to these stories. I can usually just say, okay, this series ended for me around this point.
Mm-hmm.
And I could be like, oh, I'm satisfied with that. But for this, it's like, I know I got more to go for the most part, for many years to come. It's like with Naruto, it ended at just Shippuden. Bleach ended at, Aizen for me, kind of. It's like stuff like that for the most part. But for this, it's like, it felt like another game.
And you're saying it wouldn't have, are you saying that if this was like the legit last Trails game, because let's say after this Trails game they would have moved to like another Legend of Heroes, like after Trails, like
Mhm.
you know. What do you?
I will
what do you
say,
think? Go
sorry,
ahead.
go ahead.
Yeah, no. Go ahead.
The final thing I wanted to touch on that blew me away with this, well, not blew me away, but really impressed me with this game, the music. This game has
I
so
can agree
many
with that.
boss themes, and every single one was like freaking amazing.
I can agree with that. There was a very nice amount of very very good OST in this game, but I do feel that in certain situations, either this song that isn't one of those like very very good songs, it's just one of the other songs, it's good or okay, probably either shouldn't be playing or a better song could be playing, or this song was going on just a tad too long. And one of the main two instances where I felt that was the boss music that they used for, just like you're fighting a regular boss, that like suspense music type of thing. I wasn't really a fan of that as a boss theme song, because usually when it comes to a boss theme song, there's like a guitar related song, like trying to get you hyped. This one just made you feel like you're under suspense when these games ain't that difficult. So I wasn't really under suspense that much, So it's like that song didn't really vibe with me. And then the other time was during one of the best parts that we can all agree was one of the best parts, during that fragment chapter when you're saving Reen. The song that is playing throughout that entire fragment dungeon, it was another suspense song, and it just felt like that song played through the entire dungeon. Like even when you're in like encounters and whatnot, I felt that song was overstayed its welcome. But like, no, I agree with you. Like all of the songs that were bangers, those are some of my favorite songs in Trails. And it's funny because once again, if you're listening to this podcast, you probably are heavy into like, Trails and Falcon. So you probably heard the name Mitsuo Singa before, and he is a composer. He is one of the sound composers in the Falcom JDK music group, and this guy is fucking hated for majority of his songs. And I think for Cold Steel 3, Cold Steel 4, and East 9, he's been the guy that's been composing a lot of the like songs that we currently like. I would assume that if there's a song that you can pull out from Cold Steel 3 and 4, Mitsuo Singa was probably the one that composed it. I just find it very interesting that some people shit on Mitsuo Singa with a burning passion, when it's like every song that I hear that he has done, well, not every song, but I would say 90% of the songs that I've heard that he has done have all been fucking bangers, including Deep Carnival people, because apparently a lot of people fucking hate Deep Carnival. Deep Carnival is the one that played when you were fighting McBurn. It start that one. I think it also played when you first saw McBurn, when you were using the corrupted Reen and all that stuff. That song is fucking awesome. I don't know what people are fucking high.
There was one specific song moment that was like, well, maybe the hypest moment of this game for me. It was right before the first rivalry with Crow, and that remix of Belief from Cold Steel 1 starts playing.
That one was good.
So the reason that got me so hyped was because like that song in Cold Steel 1, it played for the what was Crow's terrorist group name?
The Liberation something.
The Imperial Liberation Front. Yeah,
there we go.
Them.
Yeah,
that was like their theme song.
Yeah,
and just hearing that play like for Crow, like that's the first thing you hear in Cold Steel 4. That was a hype callback, and I was like 5 years in the waiting to bring that song back. That was just a great moment for me.
Didn't they also bring back Blue Destination, I think?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, I think that one played when you were on the ship. When you're doing that 4-part boss battle on the ship before the 2-hour-long cutscene. That I think they played Blue Destination there, if I so recall, and it was that one was really fitting as well.
For me personally, You guys are gonna hate me. I really didn't notice any particular soundtracks that was
Really?
like so stand out. Like I gotta be honest, I really didn't. um, like for the I gotta say for the Legend of Hero games in particular, like the music really don't stand out to me that much for the most part. There are like one or two or three tracks that I could think of off the top of my head that I thought were just like bangers completely. And the only one that I thought that was so great in this one was Synchronicity. I think that's how you say it. That song is just amazing. I love that. It's like
Which one? When did that one play?
I played when you were in the Geofront. When you went down in the Geofront. Yeah.
Really? That song?
Yeah. What you mean, man? What you trying to say, bro?
That's not a bad song, but it's like anytime I go down in Geofront, if it's not the very first like Geofront theme song that played in Zero no Kishi, dun 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 dun. If it's not that one, I'm not fucking with it.
Oh, man.
You know,
man.
like like I said, if I compare it to that one, all right, Bao. Bao said he's wrapping it up. Peace out, Bao.
All right, man.
We'll see you on the next HBMP.
Right.
Yeah, like I was saying, if it wasn't that song, man, every time I go down to Geofront, if I don't hear that song, I get disappointed. So maybe it was that. I'm not saying the song was bad. I'm just saying that if it ain't that song that's playing, I just get disappointed. I'm like, damn, yeah, this song is alright, but it's not. It's not dun 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 dun.
Nah.
Really, out of all of the songs in Cold Steel 4, it's that one.
It's that Synchronicity. That shit is just amazing. I love that
Really?
song. I honestly don't think there was that many. To me, maybe I don't think I'm probably the right person.
I think you need to re-listen to some of them, man. I don't
Maybe.
know. I think when you were in the moment, you were vibing, but you didn't really go out of your way to be like, I need to go and grab this song and listen to it again. Because I do remember when I played when it was Trails in the Sky, 3rd chapter, the final boss theme song in that one. That one was a remix of the Cry For Me theme song. You know, the theme song for Trails in the Sky 3rd. And they may have played like 3 to 4 different versions of Cry For Me up to that point. So when I heard that the final boss theme was another remix to Cry For Me, even though it was the best remix of Cry For Me, it was the hypest version as well, I was kind of burnt out of this song regardless of how many times they remixed it. So when I was fighting the boss, I didn't really care for the song. But when I went back and listened to that song, that's one of my favorite songs in the franchise. So I was like, maybe I'm gonna throw some tracks your way. I'm gonna throw some tracks your way, and I want you to be like, so you're trying to tell me this shit is not good?
I'm not saying it's not good. It wasn't that memorable to me. I would say that.
Okay, for the people listening right now, I'm gonna just name like, because honestly, there really isn't that many like bangers that I would say in this game. But I do feel that there are a few songs that I felt that at least worth a shout out. So like I said, I'm gonna send these to Shadow later, but if you want to look them up, it's In Their Grief, Mighty Urge, Bold Silence, and Seductive Shudder. Seductive Shudder is the one that played when you fought Crimson Rosalia in the in that little like dungeon that you use to train the characters to get them back up. I will play one of them. I don't want to get a copyright, but it's called Seductive Shudder. That one was great. I remember when I first heard it, I was like, it's okay. But when I was listening to it like after some time, I was just like, damn, this is actually really fucking good. What was I on? But I will be surprised if you go back and listen to Mighty Urge or In Their Grief, and you're like, yeah, I'm just not fucking with this one, man. I will be surprised. I'm gonna be like, man, I don't know, man. I don't know what's wrong with you.
Yeah, man. I don't know. Just like the songs really stood out that much to me, man. I'm sorry.
Right, we'll look at the comment section, roast your ass for that one.
All right. Let's see. You want to talk about the normal ending versus the true ending?
Yeah. How about you go first?
All right, so for this one, I kind of felt like the normal ending should have literally been the true ending, even though I kind of feel like the normal ending didn't have. It was like it ended abruptly and it was kind of half-assed. It kind of just felt like a bad ending. Like
No, I feel it. In comparison to the true ending, it definitely is a bad ending. Like in comparison to the true ending, but if it was the only ending that we had, can't really call it a bad ending. And not like a bad ending because not in a bad ending in regards to this ending is bad, but just more so a more tragic.
Yeah, that's basically what I was saying. Like like in some JRPGs, it's like a bad ending, a good ending, and then a true ending or something like that.
Yeah,
that's why I felt like it was like a bad ending on that spectrum.
Yeah.
No,
I agree with you with that.
But I also felt like there wasn't that much effort put into it for the most part. I kind of felt like
the normal ending.
Yeah, I kind of felt
yeah.
Yeah, I kind of felt like it was just half-assed for the most part. And the true ending was like they really went all out in the true ending. And I kind of felt like, yeah, the normal ending should be the canon ending because I kind of felt like that's the way it should have been. Like it was sad, it was tragic, and the true ending just really just happy-go-lucky ending. Everybody pretty much gets what they want for the most part,
except for Valimar.
But
like I said, okay. So when I was talking about the character deaths, so we were at 5 when I said them out, right? I said Arianhad, Rutger. Oh no, I was actually missing one as well. I was missing one because I remember I still recall it was 4. I mean 6, not 5. But I said Rutger, I said Arianhad, I said Valimar and Ordine, and I said Black Alberic, aka Black Franz, right?
Mm-hmm.
The 6th one was Reen's father, Gilead Osborne. He's dead too. Definitely a notable character. He's the fucking antagonist of this, franchise.
I think you're like, because like, okay, we kind of expect characters like maybe Osborne to die. We're talking about characters that actually met with the story that you built with throughout the entire series, like from Cold Steel 1 to Cold Steel 4, like the playable cast, like some of the supporting cast. We're talking about kind of like them. We kind of expect like the antagonist to like die at some point, maybe.
I understand that, but I think I remember I was having a conversation with my friend in regards to character deaths. And when people say, "Oh, people didn't really die," when I say the characters that do die, obviously you guys are talking about you want a character that you were using, playing, and then they died on some what's the character I'm thinking? Aerith. On some Aerith type shit, right?
Yeah, kind of something like that. Yeah,
that's why people felt some type of way when it was Crow or when it was Milliam. I understand that. All I'm saying is that that narrative that characters don't die in the franchise, I wouldn't necessarily say that's true because, like I said, I list them all out across all of the games, and this game technically has the most of it, regardless if they were a character that you were using and saw built or if they weren't. But no, I understand what you're coming from in regards to the normal ending, because in regards to the normal ending, in that ending, all of the characters that I said die, but adding to that death count would be Reen himself, Crow, and Milliam.
Yep.
So that would bring the character death up to 9 instead of 6.
Well, again, like I said, those are actually impactful deaths, like we're not talking about Ordine and Valimar and Osborne. Like those are real heavy hitters right there. You lost them.
I don't know. Valimar's a heavy hitter to me, but that is subjective. So I will let you have that one. But yeah, I understand. I remember when I first saw that, and I saw fucking Reen basically shoot Valimar up into the sky and pull a Gundam wing on us and fucking self-destruct type shit. But it's like, even when it came to that, because at one point I actually thought that was like the actual ending. But even during that part, you hear, I can't remember what character it was when they were down there and they were all looking up and they saw the explosion and whatnot. I can't remember what character said it, but they said, "Don't worry, Reen will come back," type of thing.
Yeah.
And it just felt like if that was the normal ending,
Yeah, he would have probably came. It was a good chance.
He probably would have came back in some way, shape, or form because that character saying something like that just seems like, oh yeah, you watch JoJo's Part 2, where it's like you see you think that Joseph Joestar died. Spoiler to JoJo's Part 2, by the way. You think Joseph dies, but then he comes back. We thought he died on that plane when he actually didn't. Type of thing. He comes back. Oh yeah, I'm fine. I thought something like that was gonna happen to Reen.
Yeah, that is true, but I kind of felt like it would have been good for the story, even if he wasn't going to come back in the series in some way, shape, or form. It would have been good for the story.
I agree that it probably would have been good if Reen did die during that part, only for honestly impactful reasons. Because, like you said, up to this point, in your opinion, there isn't any super impactful death. So if it was Reen, that would have damn near made up for all the impactful deaths that you thought that they had up to this point. I can agree with that. But it's just like, damn, if they did go ahead and just off Reen, first of all, there would be a lot of people that would be happy because there's apparently a lot of fucking Reen haters out there. there's a lot of Cold Steel haters out there, and there's a lot of haters of Reen. So those guys would be celebrating. Oh yeah, I actually love Cold Steel. Now that boy Reen dead. They would be happy. Everyone would get their whole impactful thing, but it's like, man, they really built up like across 4 long ass JRPGs. They really did build up Reen like a lot. Like, by the end of this game, he is a divine blade user. Like,
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing. I was like, when I first saw his new S-Craft, wasn't really feeling it, but after a while, I'm like, holy shit, bro. It's fucking Breaking Dawn is fucking lit.
Yeah, I don't know about that. That shit was lit. I love that thing.
Breaking Dawn has all of, not all of them, but like almost every move that Reen had done in the series, like up to that point, like he did first form Helix Strike was Helix Strike, second form was Gale, third form was Flame Impact from Cold Steel 2, fourth was Autumn Leaf Cutter, fifth form was Morning Moon. That's the move, the counter move you do with Valimar. Sixth form was Crimson Slash. Seventh form is his first S-Craft Fallen Leaves, and then 8 leaves. It's really fun. It's a really cool, and when he got it, man, like you was like, Reen, in order for you to like face something as fearful as what's inside you, we need something to replicate that sense of fear in front of you. And I think I told this to you, or maybe I told this to one of my friends. I was like, there is probably nothing in this series more frightening than standing face to face against Cassius Bright with a sword in his fucking hand.
That's true. Yeah, with a sword.
That should definitely suffice. That should definitely suffice as something that should replicate the fear within your fucking heart. So I just thought that whole part was cool. Like they did a very good job in regards to like the growth of Reen. So yeah, that would have been an extremely. I personally think that would have equaled out all of the impact that he really wanted if he did die in the normal ending.
Yeah, and it's like he was built up in this game as a sacrifice. It's like,
yeah,
okay, he's probably gonna die at the end of this game.
Yeah,
but you kind of you leave it up in the air. He might be dead, but like we said, there's a good chance he's gonna come back. And in a true ending, he just lives for the most part. Nothing happened whatsoever.
I mean, it's not like they didn't explain it. Obviously you go to that one location, fight the what's it, the Earth Dragon God or Beast or something, and he gives that material.
Power, yeah. But that was only for I can't remember what they did for it after. That was only for the battle with Osborn, right? Because you had to use it during that battle. Well, you could have used it for that battle if you wanted.
No. The battle against Osborn, that was the flame that McBurn gave you after you beat McBurn.
Oh yeah, right. Okay, wait.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
You need to talk about that motherfucker McBurn here.
Yeah. We need to, that should be the next thing we talk about. But let's keep it to the endings for now.
But yeah, in regards to like the true ending, yeah, when it came to all of that like cryptic talk when it came to talking to that beast. Because I remember when I think it was one of the HPMPs, maybe it was the last one we did, where you were telling Bao that you should do everything that you
in
can
Act 4.
that
Yeah.
in Act 4 because of the fact that it will impact your getting the true ending. And
Yeah.
during that part when you're talking to that beast and all that stuff, and he gives you that, he is basically everything he's saying is basically foreshadowing to the fact that there is a different path that can be taken other than this tragic path that you're currently down.
Okay.
But yeah, no, it's like I said, it was foreshadowed. I agree that maybe killing him off may have had a beneficial outcome from a writing standpoint if the franchise were to have ended here, and maybe even if the franchise would have continued, you could look back and be like, dang, that boy Reed ain't never coming back. I miss him. Because basically that's what people do with Luve, right? Even to this day, and even the game, you always hear about that boy Luve, right? Luve this, Luve that. We went to Luve's grave again in this game. Even though we went to it in Cold Steel 3, we went to it again in Cold Steel 4. And we actually, I think there was a side quest, and we actually get to hear his voice for a few moments when you're there and all that stuff. So Falcom really ain't letting, even though Luve has been dead for 5 games.
Yeah, he should come back.
And I remember I heard one person man, I kind of want Luve to come back. I'm like, calm down now, calm down. He's like,
I low key thought he was gonna come back when you did that little quest with Joshua and Estelle, and they went back to the grave because it was the curse was taking over that part of Hamill or something like that. I thought he was gonna maybe there was gonna be some type of projection of him or something like that.
Yeah, I remember for a little while I thought there may have been a projection of him, and then Silver Will would have played. I'm like, holy fuck.
I would have liked that if it was just that they just kept it that way. I would have enjoyed that. As well, the true ending was really it was the happy ending. Everybody's all happy. The creative developers wanted everybody to be go out with a positive note. And I gotta admit, there's not many games that can invoke an emotional response from me. There's only 2 games I remember that did this. This was Type 0 HD, Final Fantasy Type 0 HD, the ending. I think it was the bad ending. Maybe it was the true ending. I don't know. But that one got me. And then there was the Final Fantasy Crisis Core with Zack at the end. And this one...
I'm getting to that game very soon, so I'll let you know about that.
Yeah. And this one... This got me... This got my eye, one of my eyes tearing up just a bit. I felt it was really sweet.
Yeah, so for me, in regards to the normal and the true ending, like I said, I've talked about the normal ending already, but I am definitely on the side of preferring the true ending very much because, one, like you said, in regards to the normal ending, it did feel abrupt, and if the game did end there, that would have meant your final boss fight would have been the fight against Ishmelga. And even though the fight against Ishmelga was fucking dope, his fight, you remember his fucking S-Craft, he fucking engulfed the entire world into blackness. That shit was awesome, right?
Wait, Ishmelga? I thought it was... Maybe I remember him wrong. I thought in the normal ending, you just fought Osborn, and that was pretty much it.
Yeah, Osborn in the Ishmelga mech.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, the Divine Knight. The Ebon Knight Ishmelga. That's what you're fighting the Ebon Knight Ishmelga in a Divine Knight fight. And he did his S-Craft and all that stuff. That technically is your final boss fight in the normal ending, right? Yeah. And even though it was a good fight, for me, it didn't feel like a Trail's final boss.
Yeah, it did. It didn't at all. Yeah, if I did that there, I would have been pissed.
If you look at all of the Trail's final boss, especially the Trail's final bosses in 2nd chapter, 3rd chapter, Owl, and Cold Steel 1 and 2, it was always this big ass demigod demon that you fight. That felt like a Trail's final boss, and it'd be Divine Knight fight as the final boss would have been not anticlimactic, but just not as the conclusion type of final boss that you would expect this game, which is supposed to represent that, to be. And the final boss in the true ending did feel like that to me.
Yeah, exactly.
That motherfucker definitely felt like a Trail's final boss. Not in regards to challenge, but in regards to like what he represented, how big he was, and the mechanic that he had. He was probably the most Trail's final boss that you could possibly like create, to be honest with you. And it was very, very cool, the fact that even going into the fight again, I didn't really know how they were going to set it up, but the way they did set it up, the fact that you're press down on the D-pad, which is usually your option to run away.
Yeah.
In this fight, it is to swap the teams, because you have to bring. How many characters do you have to bring in this fight?
Like damn near everybody. Like holy shit.
It was like, I think someone said, whew, I'm not
close to 35 maybe or something like that.
You have a lot of characters that you could bring for this fight. So I just thought, from a mechanic standpoint, the ability to like swap between team A, B, and C to fight each parts of the boss, because obviously like it was like the blue side protect the main part from arts magic, and then the red side protect the boss from physical. So you have to like swap between the teams and take those out before you can take out the main part. Regardless of how difficult you thought it was, the mechanic behind it was, in my opinion, the most unique mechanic that we've seen them do for a Trail's final boss thus far. Because like the unique mechanics that I'm thinking of that the Trails games have had in the past, like second chapter, the only unique thing I remember them doing was the fact that those ads had a chance to destroy the panel, and if you fell down in it, that character's gone for the entire fight. That was its unique mechanic. Cole's Trails third, it was those pillars that you had to destroy. In Zero, it was the platform. If it fell, you lost that character. They got hit with Vanish. They don't come back, and when they do come back, they don't have any fucking EP. The mechanic for AO was the fact that that enemy could reverse time. Cold Steel 2 mechanic, the Vermilion, and the fact that was like the first one that allowed you to swap the characters and all that stuff. So they just had they kind of like borderline made this tradition to have some type of unique mechanic when you fight that final boss. And I felt, in regards to this game giving you such a ridiculously large roster, this was the best way to utilize that traditional like unique mechanic that they usually have, and utilize all the characters at the same time, all that stuff. So even though I didn't struggle with the boss, I fucking destroyed him.
Yeah, me too. I was gonna ask you that too. I was like, I had no trouble against that boss at all.
I fucking destroyed him, but I fairly respect the way they set him up. I think it was the best thus far, but
that's why I kind of feel like the true ending was the canon type of ending. I don't know what goes on in Hajimaru no Kizuki, people, and please don't spoil stuff in the comments. Like I get there might be reasons for what they did with these endings, but try to kiss. We'll play Hajimaru no Kizuki when we get there. We want to be surprised, but it felt like with that battle, that really felt like the true canon route for the most part, because that's how it, like you said. That's how the Legend of Heroes games have always done final boss battles. This big climactic thing, and a normal ending just didn't provide that at all, which makes me even think like, why even have a normal ending to begin with?
To be honest, and like how Bao was saying earlier in regards, he feels that certain segments should be removed. For whatever reason, he thought it wasn't, the normal ending he was referring to, but other stuff.
Yeah, no.
If I were to remove anything from this game, it probably would be that right there.
Yeah, honestly, I felt like it wasn't needed. I felt like they literally wanted to satisfy everybody. They wanted people who wanted that tragic ending, and they wanted people who wanted that really happy, positive ending. And the normal ending just wasn't needed.
I think it was Kiseki Nut, or maybe it was someone else. I remember when they were describing the ending to Cold Steel 4 to their viewers, they were saying that it felt like Falcom were trying to have their cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
And they debatably did a good job when it came to having their cake and eat it too. Because, like I said,
Honestly, yeah.
people who like that normal ending, they like it. It exists. It's there. But just like when it comes to certain romantic options with Reen, they aren't canon. This was just an optional thing that you could see, and it's cool. But now let's look at this canon shit. This is the canon shit that you need to be like focused on. And regardless if you feel the non-canon one was better, it was there for you to see as a what if. But at the end of the day, like I said, if there was anything I would have removed, it probably would have been that, and everybody would have just been fine with the only ending that we had.
Yeah.
It's like if we had to fucking fight that final boss in Zero, knowing that the characters did die at one point and be brought back to fight them again. They didn't make us do any of that. But you would assume if they did make us play that, people in Zero would have been saying, I kind of like this ending better. Lloyd and everybody died. This is different. Why didn't they give us this one? Well, you didn't even fucking know about it until the ending. Oh, so,
All right. Alrighty. All right. Let's keep the conversation moving on. So you want to talk about the gameplay additions like Demon Unchained and the 2 bravery points? What do you think about Demon Unchained, man?
So when I first saw Demon, when they first introduced the gameplay feature of Demon Unchained, like first you're using Reen, you're going in, this is like what, like maybe 2 hours into you having Reen. You see a little cutscene of Reen saying, I want to try something, but now that I have you guys backing me up, I am confident that I can basically go all out and not have to worry because I have you guys here. Story related, and it also works into the gameplay as well. So, as you guys know, Demon Unchained is basically this game's version of Spirit Unification, but it is stronger. And it starts off as Spirit Unification, but after 3 turns, Reen goes berserk. And every turn Reen is berserked. Firstly, you do not have your combat link with anyone. So if a character that was linked with Reen and they hit someone, you won't see that the efficacy pop-up thing if there was an imbalance, because Reen is berserk. He's not going to follow up with it. That's firstly. Secondly, when it is Reen's turn, he's just going to attack the enemy with a really strong hit. Thirdly, if an enemy hits Reen, let's say an enemy hits Reen and it miss, Reen will not counterattack. I thought that one was odd. I would assume that he would counterattack, but when he is when he is berserked after Demon Unchained, he doesn't counterattack. And then every berserked turn that Reen has, there is a 30% chance that it can just turn off. So when I heard all of that explained out, not explained out to me, but when I figured out that this is how it works, I honestly, at very first, I wasn't a fan of it. I didn't like Demon Unchained. I was like, what do you mean I don't get to really control Reen? He goes berserk. What is this? I didn't really like it at first. Did you like it at first?
I thought it was just fun. It made sense, like implemented with the story.
Yeah. No, I know it made sense. I just, like, from a gameplay standpoint, I didn't like it at first. So a couple of hours in, when I was like, I'm not the type of person to be like, I don't like it. I'm just not going to use it. That's more of a, and this ain't a shot to Bao. That's more of a Bao thing. If Bao don't like something, or if Bao don't like a character, he's just not going to use that character. Me, if I don't like a character, like gameplay wise, I will try to see how to use them the right way and see if I like them then. And usually, at least, especially when it comes to this franchise, when I do that, I see the appeal, and I did when it came to Demon Unchained. The way I started using Demon Unchained was, firstly, like I said, when Reen is in berserk, he fucking hits like a tank, So it's not necessarily a bad thing if he goes berserk. I thought it was a bad thing if Reen was berserk, When I laid those stuff out, it sounds like, a disadvantage. He's not countering. You don't have the balance assist thing. He's not. You don't control him. It just sounds like a mess. But if you work with it, it's definitely it definitely has its appeal because it's like, firstly, it's you start off with spirit unification. You're getting that buff. You're taking off any status ailment that Reen has off of him just by activating Demon Unchained. So that's a pro, right? When you're in it, you're buffed. And usually what I try to do while Reen is in the, I guess, spirit unification phase, the phase 1 of it, while I have control of him, usually what I try to do is like activate Impassion on him, or use the buffed version of his crafts while he's in there. So like true Crimson Slash. No, well, I think it's called Supreme. All of his moves are named Supreme, so there's stronger versions of that. Or I tried to use his S-Craft, which I think Breaking Dawn turns into Luminous Abyss, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Breaking Dawn turns into Luminous Abyss. I can't remember what seventh slash Shredded Leaves turns into, because they must have changed that name, the name of that move, like 4 times up to this point. I think at first it was 7th slash Fallen Leaves, then was Ashen slash Crimson Leaves, and Ashen slash Fatal Leaves, and then Ashen slash Shredded Leaves, and then by the beginning of this game, they called it Termination slash Dusk.
Yeah.
I think that's what it's currently called now. So it had like 5 different names. I actually did not like. I remember when I first got Reen and I saw it said, I looked at this S-Craft and it said Termination slash Dusk. Before this game, my favorite S-Craft was Termination slash Dawn from Cold Steel 2. So when I saw it said Termination slash Dusk, the first thing into my head is like, oh shit, Termination slash is back. And it's different. Let's see how this looks, right? And then it's basically just
The same.
just the S-Craft we've been seeing up to this point. He's just saying Termination slash Dusk now. So I was vaguely disappointed when I saw that. But yeah, all your S-Crafts change. Luminous Abyss. I think the S-Crafts in the game, the only S-Craft that I recall that had a damage ranking of 5S was Estelle's Wheel of Time.
Really?
I could be wrong. Maybe. I think when you upgrade Gaius's S-Craft, Howling Heaven, I think that turns to 5S, because I think at one point it was, when you first get it, it's like 4S plus or something. But as far as I remember, the only and maybe Agate. I think Agate's Dragonfall might be 5S. But the point is, when you get 8 Leaves Breaking Dawn, it's 4S plus. I remember when I first saw it, I was like, what the fuck? I went through all of that shit, and this shit ain't 5S. What the fuck going on, man? And then when you upgrade it to when you activate Demon Unchained, and you use Luminous, if you look at Luminous Abyss, that's 5S. So I'm like, okay, I understand now, because it's like if they made Breaking Dawn 5S, and then you get to Luminous Abyss, you try to tell me that shit's stronger than that one is the strongest S-Craft in the game, 5S plus. I think they didn't want to have any S-Crafts that were higher than 5S, so they just they set it up that way. So I was like, okay, I understand that. As long as Reen has a 5S S-Craft, I'm fine, which he did. It's Luminous Abyss. But yeah, that's what I do. When he goes berserk, I just make sure he had Impassion on. So as he's running out there doing shit, slashing people and whatnot, he's still getting that Impassion CP buff. So by the time, if his thing does waste out, by the time he's back to normal, he's back at 200 CP. Or if, let's say, he's been attacking people all the time to the point where his CP buff did waste out and he's sitting there at 200 CP, that's when I'll use one of my characters and hit him with a remedy to bring him back. Because him running around with 200 CP just being berserk, that's when I feel that I'm wasting turns with Reen. And let me get him back to normal type of shit, And then sometimes it just turns off on its own, like right on time or a little bit too early type of stuff. So that randomness in Berserk, I eventually liked the randomness behind it and using my other characters to play around it during that time. I thought it was cool. So Demon Unchained is cool with me.
Like you were saying that you were doing all that with Ring. You buff him up basically, and let him run wild for the most part. I could see the appeal to that. That seems like a pretty fun thing to do. Me personally, when he just went berserk, I just killed him. Right off the bat.
Really?
Yeah, like just killed him. That was it. You're good. You got 200 CP again? I'll do it again.
Yeah, I understand. I sometimes did that too. I know. There were some enemies in the games that were actually hitting pretty hard, and I do remember when Reen is in Berserk, his defense is so fucking high. Like when someone hits me with an S-craft and all of my characters like they drop to like let's say a quarter health from full to quarter or whatever. If Reen is Berserk and he gets hit with that, he lost like 40% of his health. I'm like, God damn, how high is your defense right now? And then he's just going. It's funny anytime you try to like heal Reen, like with like HP related stuff when he's in Berserk, he just goes like, okay, yeah. Get it. I guess that's your way of saying thank you right now. I thought that was all fun and cool. But yeah, I fairly enjoyed Demon Unchained, and obviously since the curse is no more, this is the only game that we will be seeing Demon Unchained in. I would assume in Hajimari he will go back to saying Spirit Unification, which makes sense. But it was I agree with you in regards to gameplay and what he said prior. It works and makes sense how it functions. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I wanted to actually talk about that in my review, but I felt like that was a huge spoiler, and I was like,
yeah, I remember you. I saw you. You lightly touched on it.
Yeah,
you lightly touched on it.
I wanted to, but I was like, then let me not spoil it for people.
Yeah. Crow using both of weapon sets in the same fashion as Juna.
Yeah.
When you first saw them introduce that, how did you feel about that?
Okay, I was like, okay, finally somebody else can do this like secondary style switch like Juna can, because when I was introducing Cold Steel 3, I kind of felt Juna was like a huge experiment. Like, what can we do? What could they possibly do for characters to make them switch up their play style? It felt like one big experiment because nobody else got to do what she did. So I'm like, okay, so I kind of felt like this was something that you want to do experiment with. You want to see it if it works for her, and then maybe in future games you see if you can implement this. And I was genuinely surprised. I was like, oh, okay, Crow can do it too. All right, that's pretty cool. Barely use Crow. But
really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's very interesting because as soon as I got Crow, he never left my fucking party, bro.
Oh, nah, bro. Nah, he was constantly on rotation for me.
Hell, yo. Anytime the game's like choose your characters, and obviously Reen is locked, the first person I throw in the slot is Crow. Like Crow stayed with me till the very end of the game.
Let's say that sounds like me with Emma. Anytime they told me to choose a party, Emma was always in the
party. maybe for me it was because of the fact that I haven't used Crow since Cold Steel 1, and and back then he's damn near a completely different character in regards to like gameplay to how he is now. Like, so for me it was just like it felt like I felt like I needed to make up for lost time. I'm not having Crow all this time and all this stuff, but gameplay wise, Crow, like I said, when Bao was here, Crow became my favorite character in regards to like Cold Steel 4 in general. He became my favorite character, especially in gameplay, because of the fact that he can swap his weapons like Juna as well. And I don't know if you looked into that, but when you go to if you press pause and like go to your, which one was it? I think it was the area where you change your accessories and your what stuff you have on your armor and whatnot. If you pressed triangle during that area with either Juna or Crow, you can swap what stance, projectile or melee they are in right there.
Oh, okay. Before the battle
Yeah.
starts. Okay.
Yeah, and I thought that was cool because of the fact that, let's say by default you start off with melee, right? And as soon as the battle starts, an enemy goes first and they use a projectile move and it hits everyone except for, let's say, like Crow or Yuna, right?
Mm-hmm.
If they're in melee stance, they can't counter because they're not in projectile. They're not close enough to actually activate and do a counter. They're not in projectile. So I thought it was cool that they give you the ability to choose which one you would rather start that character off in when the battle starts. Because for me, I always kept in regards to like starting off a battle, I always kept him in gunner mode, And I also like the fact that he says, "All right, gunning for you," or what he said, the other one he said was, "I'm cutting in." I was like, I thought that's definitely like Crow related stuff that he would say, but I like that. I made Crow my evasion tank in this game. So I made him my evasion tank. He would always be in the front in gunner mode. So anytime a battle starts and someone tried to hit me with like an AoE or whatever, Crow would always dodge it and hit him with, sucker and hit him and I had rage on, so I would get like a bravery point off of that also. And then the fact that his craft was called, one of his crafts were called Azure Destiny. It costs 100 CP and it basically gave you, a buff like Reen, but you still have control of Crow. And then when you do that, if you have Azure Destiny active, it does more than just buff you. A lot of people actually don't notice. It does more than just give you buff stats. It significantly increases your casting time on like a lot of stuff. Like to the point where if you use like a casting spell of like Impassion or Analyze, he will insta-cast it. There's no casting time on it. So it's like when I activate Azure Destiny, I would use like Impassion right after that because it would insta cast, and I would give it to him since he just consumed 100 CP, so I use Impassion on him to get it right
Get
back.
it back, yeah.
So now he's getting like CP back, and he has that buff. And usually before I can get back to 200 CP before the buff even wastes out, so I'm good, And also, when you're in Azure Destiny buff, you would insta-cast your Divine Knight Ordine. I don't know if you knew that, because you gotta, even though it's in the craft section, if you try to summon your Divine Knight, it takes a couple turns for you to cast it. It's like a casting spell. But Azure Destiny allows him to insta-cast Ordine off the back. Now I thought that was cool too, because as soon as I finished Ordine, I could go straight into S-Craft and just do a whole bunch of other crazy stuff with Crow, and that for some reason at certain points in the game I was also able to insta-cast Valimar, but I wasn't sure how I was doing it. But it was happening with Valimar as well. But I knew if I cast Azure Destiny, I could 100% insta-cast Ordine. I thought that was cool. Another thing about Crow is the fact that I did not think that they would have given him a second S-Craft. I did not see that coming, Because it's like, if there's one thing that irked me about the S-Crafts in this game was actually the fact that characters like Claire and Sarah have had the same fucking S-Craft since Cold Steel 2, So it's like, especially for someone like Sarah, you would assume that they would have given Sarah a new S-Craft, at least in Cold Steel 3. Like, all of the old Class 7 characters got new S-Crafts in Cold Steel 3, and sure, they didn't get a new one in Cold Steel 4, but her and Claire, like I said, especially Sarah, has had the same S-Craft since Cold Steel 2, the Northern Limits or whatever.
Yep.
Like, I was like, fuck, why didn't Sarah get a new S-Craft this time around, So I honestly, I was satisfied with Cross Rebellion. I fucking loved it every time I used it with Crow, but I was not expecting to get a Vorpal Slayer. That one was actually that was one of my favorite new S-Crafts. Because his first S-Craft, is mostly about his guns, him shooting it and whatnot, but Vorpal Slayer is more about his blade. So I thought
I remember I didn't like his first S-Craft that much, and then when he got a second one, I was
Rebellion?
like, yeah.
You didn't like showed him the Cross of Defiance, man. Yo, I was hyped every time I did Cross Rebellion, man. I like all of Crow's S-crafts.
Oh, okay. Because that was the one where he shot like in the magical circles. Then they appeared above the enemy, right? I didn't care for that one. Yeah, I feel like a couple other characters kind of did that.
Wow.
Like Musse kind of did that as well, sort of. But she summoned a bunch of things. But...
Yeah, she summoned a bunch of rifles and they shot you. I thought Crow did it way better. Man, I love Cross Rebellion. That was awesome. But no, yeah, Crow. I just had so much fucking fun with like Crow across the board, and when it comes to gameplay, and yeah, man, Crow. Like I said, I'm glad even though I was irked when I saw that he was still alive after Cold Steel 2. I had so much fucking fun playing Crow in this game, and especially in gameplay. But yeah, that's the whole gameplay with Crow. I went on a big ass rant with Crow.
Yeah, you did. You really enjoyed using that guy. Me, I said, I felt like the whole changing styles with the gunner mode and stuff like that. It was an experiment, and finally somebody else could have did it in Cold Steel 4, which it made sense for Crow to be able to do it.
Yeah, another thing in regards to the weapon swapping thing, like in regards to Cold Steel 3. It did feel a little experimental, and it was cool because they changed their efficacy star rankings and all that stuff depending on which of the things that you're in. But I did feel that even though this is a Juna thing, certain characters should have been able to do this too. And two characters in particular that I felt really should have had this ability as well. And this is during Cold Steel 3. I was saying this was Sarah and Fee. Sarah and Fee, I feel like from
I said the same thing too while I was playing this one. I was like, Sarah should have one, but definitely Fee should have had one. A switch.
Doesn't Sarah and Fee have the ability to do this too? Because they have guns and they have melee and projectile shit too, right? Fee literally uses dagger revolvers, and Sarah is literally holding a gun and a blade in her hand at the same fucking time. There's no reason they can't do this. So I was just like, they should be able to do this too. And I was saying this back in Cold Steel 3, and then when we got to Cold Steel 4, and then they still couldn't do it, I was a bit disappointed. But the fact that at least there was another character that could do it, and it was Crow, I was happy. But when I got to Cold Steel 4, there was actually an additional character that I wish could have done this too, and that was actually Randy. When we get because first of all, when you playing Cold Steel 3, you're like, oh, Randy's here, yeah, from Crossville, I can't wait to use him. You never fucking get to use Randy in all of Cold Steel 3. The only time you get to use Randy is like when you're in the Panzer Soldats and he's there as a side soldat that you can use. That was the only time you got to use Randy in Cold Steel 3. But in Cold Steel 4, he's here. You're using him. He's playable. All this other good stuff, right? And his S-Craft is awesome because it's Berserker from, Ao no Kiseki. And I'm like, this is great. But I feel they could have done more when it came to that. In regards to him he has, like Crow, he has two weapons. He has his halberd blunt weapon, and he has the Berserker. I felt there really isn't a good reason why he shouldn't be able to swap between those two in the same fashion as well.
Yeah, they missed the ball on those.
Yeah, the ball, right? I really wanted to. I would have used Randy a lot more if he could have swapped between his halberd and Berserker in in the same fashion. And maybe his S-Crafts could have changed while he had one out too. If you remember his second, because his first S-Craft got changed into a craft, Crimson Gale. That's a craft now. But his second S-Craft was Death Scorpion. That was the one where he like shot at you and it was like purple energy and all that shit. That could have been his first that could have been his S-Craft while he was in Halberd, and when he was in Berserker, his S-Craft could have been Berserker. But I felt they could have done more with my boy Randy, but that's because I'm a Randy fan. But he is another character that I feel he should have gotten that treatment too. Hopefully in Hajimari, but I'm not holding my breath on it.
Nah, yeah, I don't think so either. I think Hajimari is just gonna be more of the same.
Yeah.
So what else?
Additional 2 bravery points.
Yeah, what was the deal here? Yeah, I seen some people complain. Oh, not complain. Well, I guess they complained about the lack of bravery points in 3, and they increased it to give people more room. I really didn't see the big deal here.
I think the reason they increased it by 2 was because of the fact that when you use um the I think it's called burst, because there's assist. I can't remember what the second one is called that costs 3 bravery points, but the third one is called burst, and that uses 5 bravery points. In Cold Steel 3, when you do that, let's say you just used burst on let's say you were fighting Ariane Han, you just did a burst and you just used all your bravery points, right? And now it's her turn and she starts doing all this crazy shit, and you're like, oh shit, I really wish I had some bravery points right now so I could like put a defense layer on my character or something. You just spend all of your bravery points on doing that burst to get, it's probably arguably mediocre damage on her. Everyone's just running up there and doing a.
That's what I was just gonna say. I was like, first of all, you shouldn't have used burst to begin with. I was like, it wasn't really worth it.
It's I understand I think burst does a lot of good break damage.
Yeah, it does break damage.
But it's like that's one thing that they also did adjust in this game. Break damage. It's far harder in this game to break damage enemies than it was in Cold Steel 3. So it's like even using burst as a tactic to break someone's gauge isn't that smart of a move to use burst on. If there's one thing that I did realize that burst is worth using on, and I can't remember if this was the case in Cold Steel 3 or Cold Steel 2 or even Cold Steel 1, but in Cold Steel 4, if your characters are hit with an ailment and you use burst, it actually heals that ailment.
Oh, really?
I did not catch that till like fucking 175 hours in.
I didn't catch that at all.
Yeah, I can't remember what I was doing. Maybe a character was like, I think the only reason I caught it was because maybe it was like Fee was hit with like Nightmare or something, and I used Reen and hit the enemy, and I saw the 5 burst thing pop up, and as it popped up, in my head I was like, but isn't Fee like hit with Nightmare? What is she gonna do, right? So I hit it anyway, and then I saw all of them run in there and do their thing anyway. And then when it was over, I think she had like 2 turns of Nightmare left too. But when we all came back, Nightmare wasn't there anymore. I was like, holy shit, did Burst just heal ailment? And then I tried it in the future, and that was the case. The only ailment that Burst doesn't heal is Reen's Berserk mode, which if you're in, if let's say you're using Machias and you hit the thing and you have 5 or more bravery points and you should see the burst, it's not even going to be an option there. It's not even going to show up because Reen's in Berserk and he won't participate in it. So it's not even an option there. But yeah, I don't know if Burst did that in the previous games. Someone in the comment section tell me if it did or didn't, but I don't recall it doing that, because I would be surprised if I went through all of these fucking games and didn't realize until now. But like I said, I think the reason they added 2 additional bravery points was because of the fact that they didn't want to leave the player with 0 bravery points after a burst if they had 7.
Okay, yeah.
And I was like, okay, that makes sense if that's the case.
Yeah, and if it is harder to break enemies, you want to rely on that burst to do break damage.
Mm-hmm.
I personally didn't have a problem with break damage because the characters I used, they just walked over everybody. It was too funny.
Yeah, it was very considering of them to do it, but I feel they did a lot of things when it came to this game that was probably just a bit too considering. Like, I think in regards to every Trails game prior to this, I don't think I've had as many Zerum capsules and
absolutely.
So many Zerum capsules and Zerum, I can't remember what the other one's called, but the Zerum stuff. Yeah, Zerum powders. I don't remember me having so much in a Trails game. Yeah. Especially at like certain points. Like prior Trails games, you would get Zerum powders at the end of the game in like a chest or some shit, right? In this game, I remember getting it in like a regular chest before just like the end of chapter boss. And I was just like, a Zerum? I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't remember you. I think I used like 1 Zerum my entire Nightmare playthrough. 1 Zerum. I can't even remember what it was on, but I was like, wow, I'm actually using like one of my Zerims. I had like fucking 18 of them, but I was just like, yeah, this game gave you a lot of fucking Zerim. This game's very considering when it comes to all of that stuff. Like,
I think the reason they did that is because it's the quote unquote last game, and you have a lot of characters to choose from, and they want to make sure everybody can use their favorites no matter what. That's probably what it was.
I think I also do remember using my Zerum capsules on the final boss because I was just like, it's the end of the fucking game. Might as well just throw everything in the kiss and Shingan, all right?
Yeah, I did that too. I have to play as Zerum prop because you're fighting Osborne with like 3 parties or something like that, and I didn't all the way equip everybody. So I was like, oh, okay, people are dying left and right. It's time to use these Zerum products. Just you oil spirit incense or something like that instance.
Oh, spirit incense and dragon incense.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I remember in Cold Steel 3 they were extremely rare. And this game is like,
yeah,
you can fish those things if you wanted to.
Oh, really?
Fish, you can fish those things. I was like, what the fuck? A fish just fucking coughed one out of these. Wow, I can farm this shit if I wanted to. I'm not gonna, but that's crazy, you know.
Yeah.
But no, what I was talking about was against like the true final boss, like because you know you have all of these characters. I was just trying to have fun. Use all the S cards. I think I was using.
Anybody died?
Nobody on mine. Yeah, nobody on mine did die, but I was just like, I was just having fun. I just wanted to see S crafts and whatnot.
Oh, okay, that's it.
Yeah, I had like Laura and Viscount Arcade right beside each other.
Yeah,
so I
the
had
same thing.
Yeah, I had both. I had Laura do her Radiant Phoenix Blade, and then right after her was Father do his Radiant Blade. I was like, yeah, father and daughter, Radiant Blade. This is great, you know. So I was using Zerum capsules there just for fun.
Oh, okay, yeah, to reuse CP. I gotcha.
Yeah. But yeah, moving on. The summoning mechs in battle.
I didn't do this at all. I barely did it.
Interesting.
Well, again, like considering the party that I had, I did not have a reason to really do it at all.
Okay, so yeah, another thing for me, I think that was another thing that I was just using for more so fun, especially around the end. Like I said, I would use Crow, Azure Destiny, hit the CP, get all the way up to like I would get like close to 200, and then I would instacast Ordine, and then when he hits them, that should push it up to 200, and right after Ordine, I'll go straight into Vorpal Slayer. So I was just doing it for fun. I'll do the same thing with Reen. But in regards to how I feel about the summoning mechs, because honestly, in this game, the summoning of mechs they're basically similar to how like the OG Final Fantasies when it came to summoning your espers or your summons or whatever, you know. They come out, they do an attack, and they leave, you know. And it was cool, but for me, I personally liked the way Cold Steel 2 did it in regards to Awakener's Call. If you remember, he would just go Valimar, and then he would come out, and for the next 3 turns, you're literally using Valimar, and he's like, he has his like a few of his moves, and he's attacking the enemies. It was very reminiscent to Xenogears. If you remember in Xenogears, you could just like call your gear in a regular battle and just like stomp the enemy. So I thought I still give that to Cold Steel 2 in regards to how they did it there. And going into Cold Steel 4, that's how I thought that it was going to be. So when I did see how Cold Steel 4 did it, at first I was extremely disappointed. I was like, fuck, they changed it. They just summon and do an attack and leave. This is whatever.
Yeah.
You know, but I got over it. I enjoyed it. But I still got to give it to Cold Steel 2 when it comes to the summoning of the soldats and mechs and how they handle it. But this one wasn't bad. I just Cold Steel 2 got it when it came to that.
All right. Okay.
Vantage Masters, bro.
Nah, I didn't play Vantage Masters at all.
Really? So
I played it once when I had to do something for Crow. I had to do a quest for Crow.
Yeah, it was like
that was the only time I did it.
You had to use like a one of the students, right? And you had to fight Crow in a Vantage Master.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's the only time I did it.
And they made you use a fixed deck during that, as far as I remember, right?
Believe so. Yeah. I think so. Yeah.
The only reason I remember that is because I think I the first time I fought Crow in that, I lost because I was like, damn, they make me use this fucking deck I'm not used to. That's the only reason I remember. But wow, okay. I think Bao also said, Bao don't really do all of that side shit either. So I don't. He said he was also another person who didn't mess around with Vantage Masters, especially since in regards to the main story, unlike Cold Steel 3, it's not. It's never. It never comes up because you remember Cold Steel 3 when you're in the casino, you gotta do a Vantage Masters fight against Rutger and his crew and whatnot.
Yeah.
But in Cold Steel 4, in regards to the the main storyline, they don't require you to ever play Vantage Masters, which kind of low-key sucks because I felt this time around when it came to the new cards that they added to Vantage Masters, it made the game more challenging and even more methodical than it was in Cold Steel 3. I actually liked it more in this one. The new cards that they added, they were doing some crazy stuff.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good mini game. Definitely, it's probably top 5 mini games for me. But I just like
It is.
I didn't feel the urgency to do it.
Understandable, especially since the Vantage Masters doesn't really give you any rewarding items for doing it. So if you were going to do it for that, there isn't anything to look forward to. So like obviously I was just doing everything, and I'm also trying to get the platinum. So I was playing a lot of Vantage Masters. So collecting all the cards, seeing what they did and all that stuff, the new ones compared to the old ones, all of that stuff I felt was done better in this game than it was in Cold Steel 3. And this is still my favorite mini game in any JRPG. I love
Oh man, Blitzball, would I have a word with you, sir?
I'm getting the Final Fantasy X soon. We gonna see. I've heard a massive divide when it comes to Blitzball. Some people are like, "This is the best mini game ever." Some people are like, "I fucking hate this part in Final Fantasy X. This is where I dropped the game." I've heard everything in between.
How can you drop the game for that one when you don't even you don't have to win that fight? I didn't win it when I first played Final Fantasy. So
I don't. All I know is I've heard some people say they've dropped Final Fantasy X because of the Blitzball. They hate it that much. So I was like, we'll see where I stand. I hope I do like it.
Freaking scrubs.
Yeah, especially when it comes to like card games and mini games. Like in comparison to Triple Triad and fucking Tetramaster, this Vantage Masters, in my opinion, fucking shits all over them.
I'll say that. Yeah, it really does. Yeah, absolutely.
Especially Tetramaster. Fuck Tetramaster. Yeah, Vantage Masters, I feel is done better in this game. Okay, the next one, bro. The ability to use sub master quartz on more than one user. How do you feel about that?
It's pretty much the same thing I mentioned earlier. It's pretty much a way to use everybody for the most part. So you have more flexibility, you have more customization at your disposal to make whatever party you really want, and really to that extent to make them as broken as you pretty much want.
Oh yeah,
because there's a lot of things you can do to just like sweep everything in your path.
There was a lot of things prior that you could do to like this game wide open, and allowing more than one character to equip the same subquartz, that opened up so many more possibilities of making your characters even more stronger. Like I said, at this point, especially since they are talking about changing up the gameplay after Hajimari, I think at this point they just don't care. They're just like let the player just have fun and do all of this stuff. They're not going to give you everything. They're not going to allow you to use like the primary master quartz on anyone. They're not giving you everything, but they're opening up more per game. Because like I said, in regards to Hajimura, I think one of the gameplay features was like a burst attack that had more than 4 characters in it. It was like 6 characters or something. I was like, what the fuck going on over there? But we'll talk about that when we get there. But yeah, Submaster Quartz, I think the main thing that I used in regards to utilizing it was the Master Quartz emblem, which, if you remember, that ability allows you to, as you're walking on the field, all of your like stuff is going up, HP, EP, and CP. It's all going up. The emblem Master Quartz did that. So I remember anytime I needed to like CP build, back in the old games, if you needed to CP build, you go into a battle, start hitting people, maybe hit them with an impassion, try to get that CP up. But since you have emblem here now, I just like made everyone's sub Master Quartz emblem, get all of their CP up, and then swap back to whatever I have them on. That was like a way quicker way to get all of their CP back up for me. So I thought that was cool. And then another way I used it was the Master Quartz called Oberon, and it's I think his main ability when you first get it was like 60% chance to protect you from all ailments, and then if you master that, if you max that one out, it's 100% chance of protection from all ailments. And this game, like majority of the Trails games prior to it, they will hit you with a lot of fucking ailments, you know. So it's like you barely get any Grail lockets in the games. They usually give you like one or two, so you got to like choose who you give that to, and usually you give that to like Emma or Elliot because they have a craft that can heal ailments. So give it to them, and then they heal everyone else. But I end game, to be honest, everybody's sub Master Quartz was Oberon because I was just like, I don't want to deal with ailments ever again. I'm just giving everyone sub Master Quartz Oberon, and I won't have to worry about wasting an accessory slot on some type of ailment prevention. Because it seemed like before I got Oberon, every single character that I had at least protection against insta death, or petrification, or faint. Those three in particular, I especially faint and
faint's annoying as shit.
Yeah, faint and insta death were like the main two. Like if I got hit by that, especially on Nightmare, man, they would get fucked hard, really hard. And Nightmare too, like Nightmare. So I was just like, when I got Oberon, I just put it on everyone, and I was just like, I can use my accessory slots on other things now, like CP build, like all of those accessories you get for Reen at the end of the game from those bonding events. Those are fucking good as shit.
Yeah, they're really good. Yeah.
So I was just like, I want Reen. I'm gonna give Reen Oberon so that I can use more accessory slots for the cooler stuff, and I basically ended up doing that for all of my characters. So I liked the fact that I was able to use Oberon on more than one character, because I remember in Cold Steel 3, I think I had it on like Elliot, and then I had Grail Locket on Emma, but didn't have to worry about that this time around. So I like that.
Yeah, I thought it was actually pretty good as well to be able to do that. And a lot of people, like I've seen some people complain about the balancing issue in the game, that the games aren't balanced. I'm like, well, look how many characters you have. They can't exactly, balance the game and account for every single team composition there is, for the most part. And this game is pretty much designed for you to use whoever you want. So I think the balance was just fine for what it was. I didn't think it was too hard. I didn't think it was unfair at all. In that sense, I
definitely do think this game, and I don't even think it is more balanced than Cold Steel 3, right? So it's not like they aren't trying to balance the game. There are certain things in Cold Steel 4 that is factually more balanced than Cold Steel 3. I'm not going to go over all of them, but a few of them were the fact that, for example, your bravery orders, they technically started off a nerfed version of what your bravery orders were in Cold Steel 3, and then you have to use the trial chest to bring them back up to what they were prior. And for a few of them, they are actually stronger than what they were in Cold Steel 3, but some of them aren't. Even when you max them out, they aren't as strong as what they were in Cold Steel 3, even after you leveled them up twice, because they had like 2 stars on them. Right? One of them was Yuna's sledgehammer.
Mm-hmm.
You remember how that one was very, very strong in Cold Steel 3, and even by the time you max it out in Cold Steel 4, I don't recall it being as strong as it was in Cold Steel 3.
I remember a lot of people saying that. Yeah, I didn't use Juna that much.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't use Sledgehammer that much, but I definitely used Juna a lot. But I did see that, and there were a few other things in regards to it being, like I said, the brake system. They said it was more balanced this time around because they felt in Cold Steel 3, when you break someone, in Cold Steel 3. If you know what you're doing, and I'm not talking about spamming like Chrono Burst or anything like that, but if you know what you're doing, you can not allow that character to get a turn to recover, you know. But in Cold Steel 4, firstly, when you break them, their turn will come up very, very fast after they are broken, to the point where sometimes as soon as you break them, their turn is right up next and they're right back into it. That I don't recall that ever happening in Cold Steel 3, you know. And then, you know, in regards to you breaking them, if you try to break them again, it's like it feels like it's at least 1.5 times harder to break them this time around. Like some of those stronger enemies, like some of the story bosses, like I was not breaking them twice in one battle. You know, that second time I was just like, you could forget it, to be honest. You got one chance to break them. After that, there ain't nothing. In my opinion, I honestly don't even want the break system to exist during those type of fights, but it's there, you know.
Yeah.
If it was up to me, they wouldn't be there. Because I just felt that's breaking someone like Ariana just felt odd. Borderline a fucking god. Like her getting broke just felt weird, but yeah, I wouldn't have had them in there anyway. But the point is the break system is also more balanced in Cold Steel 4 than it was 3. Yeah. So like I said, they were trying things, but we'll see we'll see how stuff is in Hajimari, because as far as I'm hearing, Hajimari is apparently the most broken of them all. I'm like, holy fuck, this shit. We'll see how that turns out. That's probably why they decided that they wanted to change the gameplay up.
Yeah, I think they felt the gameplay was probably getting stale, but at the same time, again, I think the primary reason was you got a whole bunch of characters, everybody can use whatever the hell they want.
Yeah, they're just having fun.
Exactly. Look at your stuff here. I think we discussed mostly a lot for the most part.
Oh yeah, so the only thing I see here that there's like two more things.
Yeah.
No, the last bullet point. Well, there's the last two points I have. So what about McBurn? Give me your thoughts on McBurn.
Okay, McBurn. Oh my god, I don't know how to explain this man. I'm like, yo. Okay, for the most part, it kind of felt like he was here just to be here. For the most part, it's like, oh, we also gotta learn about McBurn, so he kind of showed up whenever you wanted to. But then when he came up at the end and he turned into his whole true demon form or something like that, I was like, oh shit, that's pretty okay. So he's not even human. All right, that's pretty cool. I like that. But then you defeat him, and then he's just like, oh, so that's how it is, huh? Okay, you guys can take this. I'm just gonna go now. I'm like, what? And I'm not even kidding. That's literally how it happens, people. We all know that's literally how it happens. I'm like, what? That's it? He's like, yeah, if you guys manage to live, I'll probably tell you guys again if we meet again. But for now, we're good. You guys can just go on. Take this flame thing, and we'll go on. And I'm like, okay, McBurn.
Granted, I didn't use that flame thing when he gave it to me in that fight.
I actually had to use that thing when I got to Osborne, because I don't know, maybe I didn't keep up with my orbits or something like that, but he kept going in the turn order. He kept going between my turns, and it was like I couldn't do anything.
I kind of wish that his S-Craft, the very first time he does it, you remember how McBurn had his like equivalent to Heartless Angel, where he would do that spell where it was like this giant purplish orb goes into the sky, laser fire down on you, and all of your characters are down to like 1 HP. It's like his version of Heartless Angel. I kind of wished that Osborne had something like that too, that forced the player to use the item that McBurn gave you, because I thought that's what I thought was going to happen, because I was like, why would they give me an item that allows me to heal all of my characters back from the brink of death, if not death, with full CP and everything, if he doesn't have a move that, you know, would force me to do that? Because I was waiting for it and it never happened. Or maybe he does have it and I didn't see it. All I know is that, like, I didn't use it. And kind of wanted to use it to see how it looked, the animation or whatever. Maybe it doesn't even have a special one.
I don't think it really does have one. It's just like it heals everybody. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, but back to McBurn.
Yeah. I also really thought his whole thing was lackluster.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Because we didn't really know. We didn't really learn about it for the most part. What he was. We know he's not from this world, but
yeah,
that's about it.
yeah. So for me, when he transformed, that was cool. The music was cool. The fight, I didn't struggle.
Yeah,
but I did like his S-Craft. It was a very cool version of his previous one. That has a very long name. Can't remember what it is. Some incandescent hellfire or something like that.
that sounds about right.
Yeah. His version looked like a fucking Dragon Ball Z Big Bang Kamehameha version of it. It was cool. I liked that. In regards to the fact that you had to, didn't you have to, like, at the end of his fight, he basically got like a invincible protection.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah,
And then you had to bring out Valimar and fucking break that shit. That was cool.
Yeah.
That was a cool little thing they put in there. That was cool. After the fight, when they explained McBurn, well, vaguely explained some of McBurn. The comparison, because I think this is going to segue into the next topic that we had. The way he explained himself and the fact that he says that he is not from this world. First of all, obviously this is him. This is his all of him. This is what he was really talking about, not the shit he did in Cold Steel 2. And secondly, yeah, when he said that he is not from this world, and that made me remember or compare it to, and this is Hunter x Hunter spoilers for anyone that hasn't read you haven't seen past the manga, so spoilers there, but just a little bit. The Dark Continent. I don't know if you know anything in Hunter x Hunter past the anime.
No, I never watched Hunter x Hunter.
Really?
Yeah.
What the fuck is wrong with you? Anyway, all you need to know is that in Hunter x Hunter they have something called the Dark Continent, where it's the world that they were in was basically they didn't know anything outside of their world. There was something bigger and far more grand outside of the world that they knew. And in one of the last big arcs, there was this enemy that was basically decimating them, and you find out that enemy that did that to them was from the Dark Continent, that world that they didn't know, right? And they were saying that guy that was fucking you up is nothing compared to the enemies that they were going to be facing when they go out to that Dark Continent stuff.
That literally sounds like what they did in Cold Steel 4. Go ahead.
Yeah. So when I heard that, I was like, oh shit, this is some Dark Continent shit right here, right? And in Hunter x Hunter, in the manga, that's kind of where it went on its hiatus. So it's like, damn, man, when are we gonna get to the Dark Continent? I'm trying to see all that crazy shit and all of that stuff where that guy's from. So at least when it came to this, it feels like the Dark Continent again. But I hope, I am more than sure that Falcom isn't going to blue ball me the way Togashi did with Hunter x Hunter. Like Hunter x Hunter's been on hiatus for 3 years at this point or some shit, But yeah, when they started, when McBurn explained the fact that he's basically like half human and half whatever this demon thing is into one, and that he got his memories back.
Yep, that's very exactly. I don't
got his
fight you
memories
guys anymore.
I'm not entirely sure how he got it. I guess they beat his ass so hard that he got his memories back. Whatever the case may be, is the fact that he got his memories back. He realized that he has basically been being manipulated and used by the Grandmaster, and now is currently AWOL. Like, apparently, Ouroboros don't even know where the fuck he is. He fucking dipped. Fucking he basically said, "Good shit, Reen. Here's this flame." It makes me feel like, especially since he went AWOL, it makes me feel that it's probably not going to happen in Hajimari. I'll be surprised if it did. But this is just a prediction, people. I don't know if this happens in Hajimari. So if it did, I didn't spoil Hajimari. I'm just predicting what might happen because of what McBurn did in this game. Especially since, this ain't a spoiler either, because they showed this at the end of the game too. Was it after the cutscene? That Ouroboros scene where it showed the Grandmaster is the character on the cover of Hajimari. It's a chick. It's her.
I realized that like after I saw the cutscene, I was like, wait a minute,
That's
isn't
the
that
that's the hot chick on the Hajimari. She's the Grandmaster. What the fuck, you know?
Yeah, I
So
was
it's
like, wait a minute.
So it's like obviously Hajimari. There's no way that would be a fucking catastrophe of blue balls if
Yeah,
Grandmaster isn't in the game and she's on the fucking cover, right?
yeah,
So she is in Hajimari. She's doing something. I don't know what the fuck it is, but the point is what I'm trying to say in regards to McBurn and the way he ended it off with Reen and them. He seemed like he was on good terms for, I guess, beating his ass so hard to the point where he remembers. So for me, I wouldn't be surprised if McBurn came back in Hajimari and he's on your team. And if that's the case, that's fucking lit, and I can't fucking wait for it. you know, because it's like
where you're coming from.
we know what McBurn can do, and he already has a transformation ready. I can see me doing that in his S craft and all that, or one of his crafts or whatnot. That would be very cool if that happens, because it seemed like they were foreshadowing towards that. So it's like, even though you are right, debatably it was a blue balls of a reveal in regards to figuring out what we wanted to know with McBurn, who's basically been set up. He's been built up for 3 games now at this point, and then that's all we get. I am still looking forward to what they're going to do with him next because of how he exited Cold Steel 4. So I'm kind of fine with how they ended it off, for McBurn.
Yeah, because there's also some comfort in knowing that we got other games coming here, so
yeah,
we'll see them. But
especially since they said Hajimari, apparently, up to this point, they said Cold Steel 4 has the most playable characters, and now they are saying that Hajimari actually has the most playable characters. So there's even more than all of the characters we used in Cold Steel 4. So gotta wonder who are, other than the new characters that we see in Hajimari. Are there more of those characters? Maybe Mueller, maybe finally fucking bro. I was so fucking blue balls that we actually didn't get to use Cassius in this game, but maybe Cassius is playable as well. Maybe McBurn. Like, I don't know what the roster is in Hajimari, but I hope he is playable in Hajimari. That'd be cool.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, that goes into the next thing in regards to when they were explaining the world outside of Zemuria. How'd you feel about that?
I was shocked when they said that, no matter if you keep going on in the sea or on land, you eventually hear like a stop or something like that, I was like, where did this come from? Why did we know this from the beginning? Like, huh? Like, okay, guys, I guess they were like, no. Why didn't we know that from the beginning?
The only 2 possible things that I can think of is, well, in story lore, the only possible reason that I can think of is it's something that was hidden from the community of, their civilization. And then in regards to like outside, from a writing standpoint, I highly doubt they thought that far ahead.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought.
So I feel that when they did reach to that point, when it was time to think about world building outside of Zemuria, how should they tackle it, and they decided that this is the way that they should go about it, and it is a very interesting way of going about it, because in regards to Trails as a franchise, that's one thing that people always complain about. This franchise uses literally every trope in the book. I can see everything come in, all this other stuff. But when it comes to this, like this is like I said, the only comparison that I can think of that I've ever seen in maybe I need to read more books or whatever, but in fiction, only thing that I've seen this comparable to is the Dark Continent in Hunter x Hunter. Other than that, this definitely sounds like some unique shit that I have not seen done before in a story.
It sounds like to me that they're just leading towards like alternate worlds almost to me. Like maybe there are more worlds out there.
Yeah, they definitely hinted to it that there's more than one world, because they said it multiple times in this world. You know.
Yeah.
we know how this franchise goes, man. When they say something, they foreshadowing the fuck out of whatever the fuck they're setting up. So I could see that too. Some people were saying that they could possibly be trying to link this to the Gag Carve games, the Legend of Heroes games that came out before Trails.
Yeah.
And to that, I would say they need to, if they're going to do that, they need to reboot those games. They can't. I wouldn't want them to bring Gag Carve to Trails in the way that Gag Carve is now. I would say if they were going to do that, they need to reboot / remake the Gag Carve games again, because apparently they already did it once on the PSP. There was a version before that. They would need. I would feel they would need to remake the games again, and then try to, if they were going to connect them, then connect it once they remade them.
But, if they remake them, that all just confirms that they're connected for the most part. You wouldn't just remake these games out of nowhere.
That is true. Yeah. But I've heard some people say, maybe they're trying to connect it to Gag Carve, and then some other people, because I knew that there was going to be an arc that was going to take place after the Calvard arc, but I thought it was going to have to do with the clash between Ereboni and Calvard. I thought that was going to be the final arc of Trails. Like you got our side of Erebonia, and then you got your side of Calvard. And then the final arc is Calvard versus Erebonia, and all the characters that you've known from the Erebonia side and all the characters you know from the Calvard side. That's what I thought the big ending was. But now that they revealed this, it's like, this makes it seem like they're way more than just that. Maybe they will do that, but they're definitely planning on the story even after that, which I wasn't anticipating that.
Yeah. So, yeah, what you're saying there.
It's some point is they weren't kidding when they said they had the next 20 some odd years planned, because the shit that they announced, the shit that they revealed to us in this game,
opens the door for a lot of shit to happen.
yeah. Like I said, this is, like I was saying, this is shit that, this is content after Calvard, but
it's ridiculous.
In regards to the reveal of the Grand Master,
I was just surprised it was a girl. I was like, oh, it's a girl. Okay, that's pretty cool. We don't know. We still don't know what her motivation. Well, I think we know her motivation is the world ends completely in like 3 years or something like that, right? And they're trying to prevent that.
Yeah, I remember her saying something along the lines of they have delayed the inevitable.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
It all depends on time dilation and how much time we cover in Hajimari and in Calvard. It could be years, it could be months, it could be weeks. I don't know how long they are intending on, the time span within the stuff that takes place in Hajimari, or just the time that they want to spend in Calvard. That could be the 3 years right there, and then by the time whatever this the Grandmaster said, 3 years is up and the Calvard arc is over and it's time to do what she says. But yeah, she is interesting, very interesting. We're obviously going to find out more about her in Hajimari since she's on.
I'm curious about her, but they made me a little bit more curious on what the hell is going on with Campanella.
Yeah. Speaking of Campanella, like we said, we're going to talk about it. Remember, I told you this yesterday in regards to Campanella, talking about the fact that when they were on the Pantagruel, and they had when you had to do the 4-part fight, on the right side you had the male characters, and on the left side you had the female characters all fighting. And Campanella is the one that points this out. He says, "Oh, I like this dynamic that we have going on with the fact that all of the male guys are over there fighting and all of the female characters are over here fighting." And then Juna is like, "But you're not." What? And then And then Maribel steps in and says her lines and whatnot. But it's like, it felt like that they were trying to foreshadow the fact that Campanella is not what we thought he was. People, that motherfucker might be a chick the entire time.
Yeah. I want to say they hinted at it also in Ao no Kizuki, but I
Yeah.
can't remember it. But the only thing I think I got from Ao no Kizuki is where his Japanese voice sounded mad feminine, and I was like, wait a minute, why does it sound so feminine? Because it's the first time I'm hearing his voice in Japanese, so I'm thinking maybe he's a girl. And you can look at him, especially if his artwork in Ao no Kizuki. He looks kind of like a girl. Like he could be androgynous, or maybe
androgynous,
yeah, or maybe we just don't know or whatever. But like, if it came out that he's a she, it wouldn't surprise me at this point.
At this point, yeah.
Yeah.
Before that, it wasn't even on my radar.
Yeah.
But after he said that, I think not even think. I know that if he is a female, they obviously had a plan from the jump.
Mm-hmm.
And they probably have been giving us hints up to this point. But I feel that they probably were at a point in the franchise where they were like, okay, we need the players to kind of start questioning his gender now. So we're gonna have to like drop a massive hint and make them think now. Because like you said you saw something in Ao. He could have dropped something. He's been in basically every game.
Yeah, for the most part.
Since his introduction. I don't think he was in third. I don't think any Ouroboros was in third. I can't remember.
Nah, I think so. Wait. No, I think it was. No,
and I don't think he was in Cold Steel 1 because it's Cold Steel 1. But yeah, I remember him being in Cold Steel 2. He was in Cold Steel 3, and he is in Cold Steel 4. So he was in majority of the games that he, after his debut in Trails in the Sky second chapter. So it's like he could have been dropping hints, and I just could have been missing them the entire time.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
Yep.
I do feel that Falcom was probably like, all right, we need to drop a ginormous, and we need to start questioning it now. And that was like, people, you need to, if you missed it and you didn't catch that, we're letting you know now, because there's a lot of games maybe you did miss it, but we caught it.
Yeah, exactly. Then like when you think about Campanella, that could be the girl's name or a guy's name.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a gender neutral type of name, like Alex.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, fucking Campanella. He's once again, he is still a fucking mystery. Just
yeah.
But moving to another thing that's like franchise level shit is Marcel Nielsen.
Marcel Nielsen. Is that the detective guy, or is the guy trying to go around?
Yeah, that's the blind detective.
Yeah,
and he's been like popping up in the franchise for quite a while now, but he's nowhere near as like in the front end of the story. He's more like in the like back layer of the story, just doing his stuff, and he's just always popping up. But in regards to Cold Steel 4, he is like the forefront of his like presence more than any Trails game prior. And one, this dude is blind, so that's already questionable, especially in like this type of franchise. And two, you remember when he's talking to Reen, he is talking about some extremely like deep lore info dump related shit, like in regards to like this world, how it's built, how you should be thinking about it, and what to come, all of this shit. And it just feels like, as a detective character, how the fuck do you know so much about their world, being merely just this blind detective? So I know they stated that he has all of these like accomplishments and accolades that he's done up to this point, but it's just like, it's hard to wrap my head around not thinking that this guy is far more of an important character that they are leading on to him to be. Because remember, with the people who are with you when you show up to that like basically info dump event, it's Cheryl, who she's been fucking spooky since day one. She basically foreshadowed the true ending of the game when you meet her at one point. She's talking about there's a different path that you can take when you reach your end of your conclusion. Like is this bitch foreshadowing the true ending right now? And then Thomas is there. Thomas Lysander is there. This dude's a freaking Dominion. Second Dominion or something like that. So like and the entire time Nielsen is talking about all this stuff to Reen, Thomas is just sitting there like like we know Thomas been hiding stuff. He's been hiding stuff since Cold Steel too. So he know about some stuff. So it's like Marcel Nielsen. All I'm gonna say about Marcel Nielsen is there's a lot of people in the community that think that Marcel Nielsen is is associated with Ouroboros, and he might be an Anguis, like above Arianhad, who is now dead. So it's like with Arianhad now dead, you kind of gotta start introducing more Anguis to the franchise with losing such a big one as Arianhad, So people are feeling that with him showcasing and being as important as he is now and all this stuff, a lot of people are predicting that he might reveal himself as an Anguis, and the meaning of him being blind might be something related to that otherworldly related shit. He might not even be fucking human for all we know. So it's like there's a lot of eyes on Marcel Nielsen. So I would say for you people watching right now, watch out for this motherfucker. Even though he technically can't see you, man, watch out for this motherfucker.
Yeah, I wasn't like okay, so first of all, I think he's a journalist and not a detective. So let's just I looked it up right now.
Cool.
So I didn't have too much
I didn't want to look up much of Marcel Nielsen. I didn't want to get spoiled, so thank you for diving into the wikis, because I'm sure as fuck scared to do that.
I don't see anything that's spoiler heavy in here. Yeah, so what was I gonna say? Yeah, in Crossbell, I didn't think too much of him at all. And then I was like, I saw him in Cold Steel 4. I was like, wait a minute, you're here too? I was like, nah, I'm a little bit suspicious of you. What you showing up here for? So like, if he does come out that he's more than what he is, I wouldn't be surprised, and I think it'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm more interested to what he is now, because it feels like they are setting him up to be someone very important. Yeah. So now I'm looking forward to seeing what his full story is, because I don't think they did explain why he is blind in the first place.
Yeah,
I think they definitely beat around the bush when it came to explaining why he's blind. It's more like, oh, I think I was blind from birth or something like that. He really, I don't remember them elaborating on it, is my point. And I think, this series and eyes and all that stuff, it's really anime, or like it's something like we're gonna have to fight him one day. He's gonna take off his glasses and it's gonna show some crazy shit. He's gonna do something to us. Final boss in Hajimar, who the fuck knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, Marcel Nielsen, that guy, he's way too spooky. Like he is reaching like Cold Steel 1 Emma levels of suspicious right now. So I am looking out for him.
All right. Yeah. What else we got? Our rankings?
Yes. So yeah, let me hear in regards to like the 9 Trails games that we have right now. Maybe if you have to write them out, or if you can say them off the top of your head, where, from like, I would say your least favorite Trails to your most favorite Trails.
Okay, I think least favorite is definitely third.
Mm-hmm.
That one I felt was I said at a point that you didn't really need to play, and I kind of low key stand by that a little bit, a tad bit, not as much as I did before, but a tad bit. That's definitely my least favorite one. Probably have to go next. Oh man, I'm probably gonna have to say Cold Steel 4.
Really?
Yeah, probably. That is a bad game. It's just that the other games are just better than it.
Really? Even Trails in the Sky first chapter?
Yeah, I thought Trails in the Sky first. If Trails in the Sky first chapter wasn't good, I wouldn't be here right now. I wouldn't be talking to you right now.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah,
Continue.
I wouldn't know. I would have hated this series. So yeah. Then probably gonna have to go with Cold Steel 1 and 2,
Okay.
and then Sky 1, Sky
Okay.
2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, then 0, Owl, 3, and 3. That's all of them.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think you got them all.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a very interesting ranking. I don't think I've ever heard that ranking before.
I mean, I'm about to get hit. Somebody's about to kill me.
Yeah, somebody in the comments said, "How dare you?" Because I remember, I think like 2 days ago, Eric Landon, the JRPG guy, he recently came out with he did, one of those like tier board things that you take the icons and you drag them in there.
Yeah.
He did one of Trails. So I don't know if you've seen that video. You should watch it. It was a good one. But he did it on all of the Legend of Heroes games. Like,
did he play all the Legend of Heroes games?
Yeah, apparently the only one he didn't play was like Xanadu, Legend of Xanadu 2 or something like that. Like,
Okay.
But he said he played all of them. Sky Carve, Trails, Legend of Heroes. He said he played them all. And
Okay, all right. I mean, like he finished them all. Like, okay, I don't want to bash anybody. But I'm just, I'm a little bit suspicious. But that's all I'm gonna say.
It was a good video, but yeah. In regards to my ranking, and I like them all. I love them all. Granted, So anybody listening, yeah. Same thing with Shadow. He likes them all. So just because they're at the bottom doesn't mean we hate them. I know there's people out there that when they rank it at the bottom, they actually hate them. We hate them. But for me, the bottom for me would be Trails in the Sky first chapter.
Really?
Yeah, I thought it was a very good game, but at that point in the franchise, I wasn't impressed, but I was interested to play more. I was like, this game is pretty good. I like it. I want to continue. So I felt Trails in the Sky first chapter served its purpose. I didn't feel like the game was necessarily built to blow me away. It was more so built to entice me to play more, which, if you remember the ending for Trails in the Sky first chapter, it definitely accomplished that.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. Like Joshua pulled a Sasuke for the most part. Yeah.
Yeah. So I definitely respect it for that, and it accomplished what it went out to do. It made me want to play more. So after that, after Sky 1, the game I would put right behind that is third chapter. I like third chapter a lot. I love the fucking music with the burning passion. But like you said, in regards to its significance in regards to like mainline story stuff, I personally don't feel it should be skipped. But if someone had to sit down and debate on what game out of all of the games should be skipped, and I had to choose one, then I guess I would choose third. But I still don't think it should be skipped. But I enjoyed it a lot. But I just enjoyed the other games more.
Yeah.
So after that one, it's actually, it might actually be Zero no Kiseki. Yeah, Zero no Kiseki. I enjoyed Zero no Kiseki a shit ton. I liked the introduction of dual S crafts. That I fucking love. Man, I need dual S crafts to return. Hajimari,
yeah, that was really good.
Hajimari, please, or the Trails games after that, changing up the gameplay, bring back dual S crafts. But I wasn't that fond of the main villain. He felt like he was a Weissman ripoff.
I think they even said that.
Yeah, I think Estelle did say that. I don't think he's a bad villain. It's just I felt he was one of the weaker villains. but he definitely did serve his purpose in regards to setting up the DG cult and the pills, because they mentioned that in Cold Steel 4, the fact that you know before McBurn turned into his 100%, he was talking about the fact that he felt the DG cult actually accomplished some interesting stuff because the demon pills that they were using is directly connected to what he is, which is that demon thing. So when you saw someone like I think the character name was Bald or Wald. Remember when Wald took the pills and he turned into that demonic form?
Mm-hmm.
They were basically saying that is connected to what McBurn is and where he's from. So I thought it was a nice foreshadowing and building up that whole demon pills and whatnot, and seeing it being still significant all the way to Cold Steel 4. And that was Zero no Kiseki's doing. So I really did like that Zero no Kiseki did. And I also really loved the fucking music in that game. Inevitable Struggle. It's one of my favorite.
That one's a good one.
Oh my fucking god. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But above Zero no Kiseki, it would be, this one might be a tie between Trails in the Sky second chapter and Cold Steel 1. I think I might put Trails in the Sky second chapter above it just a little bit, only because I like the adventure that we go on in Trails in the Sky second chapter, and I may vaguely like the cast just a tad bit more, the Sky characters in second chapter. But I really like Cold Steel 1 a lot more as well, because of the fact of the amount of like gameplay additions that they added, like changing character. Oh my god, the fact that you can change characters. Cold Steel 1 was the one that did that, so I was just like, I love that. And the whole unbalanced system, all of the stuff, all of the new gameplay features that Cold Steel 1 added is probably the main reason why it's tied right now with second chapter. But yeah, I'll put second chapter just a little bit above that. But yeah, it will be Cold Steel 1, then second chapter. And then above that is, what games do I have left? I have Cold Steel 4, Cold Steel 3, and AO left, right? Those are the only three I have left.
Yeah, that sounds about right, yeah.
Okay. So after that would be Cold Steel 3.
Okay.
Fucking Cold Steel 3. And then after that, this is in regards to like my favorites, not what I think is the best.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, after that is actually AO no Kiseki. No, I missed Cold Steel 2. I was missing Cold Steel 2. So yeah, Cold Steel 3, then AO, then Cold Steel 2, then Cold Steel 4. So right now, my favorite is Cold Steel 4.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah, it's my favorite. Because prior to that, it was Cold Steel 2. I remember I told you that on my stream, and I explained that, like I said earlier, Awakener's Call, I fucking love that. Terminator Slash was awesome. When you fought Lloyd when you use Lloyd and have to fight Reem, that was fucking awesome. I love a lot of shit about Cold Steel 2. Cold Steel 2, a lot of Cold Steel 2 hate in the like community I feel is forced. I fucking love Cold Steel 2, and a lot of people actually like as far as like the YouTube guys like Eric and David Vink, I think his name is David Vink. I think both of them had Cold Steel 2 ranked really fucking high as well. So
okay.
There's a decent amount of people that actually really like Cold Steel 2. Cold Steel 2 used to be my favorite, but now it's Cold Steel 4. So my top 3 is Cold Steel 4, Cold Steel 2, then AO no Kiseki. So that's my top 3 right there.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah.
In regards to like best, I would probably still have AO as number 1 because of the fact that I don't feel that from a balancing standpoint that you can't really break AO as bad as you can break any of the Cold Steel games. You probably can, but it's probably a lot. It probably takes you a lot more effort, and it's a lot more harder to break AO. I feel if you just naturally play AO, especially on hard, you feel like the challenge is a challenge, and it feels quite balanced for where you should be. I don't necessarily feel you can say the same thing for any of the Cold Steel games.
Yeah, you might be right about that, but I feel like some of the bosses were a little bit out there for the most part.
Yeah, I remember you saying that. But I also do think yeah, in regards to that game, they had a lot of unique bosses as well, like
Mm,
the Sigmund fight being timed,
yeah.
or you like the final boss reversing time, or when you fight one of the Steel Maidens, I think the one with the bow, she's like up above and she's
Sniping,
shooting
yeah,
down.
yeah.
Yeah, she's sniping. They did that an hour first, and then she comes down and slams with an explosion,
Mm,
and then you have to fight her down there. Even though they tried to do it again in Cold Steel 4, they tried that again,
yeah.
but it wasn't as good as it was in Owl. Because I don't remember her jumping down and doing the slam, and
Mhm.
I don't even think she had an S graph in Cold Steel 4. But yeah, I would say top, objectively, in my opinion, is still Owl. Then probably, honestly, I don't know. Probably don't care. Maybe second chapter and Cold Steel 4 and 3 somewhere. Not really gonna rank them in regards to that because still, that's still kind of subjective. So
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I think it's almost been about maybe 3.5, 4.5, almost 4 hours now.
Man, I
Uh,
can feel my fucking voice giving out.
yeah, me too. I'm about to. Yeah, I'm getting tired as well. I was like, yeah, I gotta get up early tomorrow. You got any last minute things you wanna bring up?
Um, this might be a surprise to you and everyone fucking watching. Um, Cold Steel 4 not only is my favorite Trails game now, it is also my favorite Falcom game now.
Ooh,
It is also my favorite JRPG now,
oh,
and it's also probably my favorite game of all time now.
Jesus,
Yeah, it's that serious. We will see.
really?
Yes, we will see how long this honeymoon phase lasts, and maybe I'll come back and be like, all right, maybe I was a little overboard, but as of right now, man, yeah, I love that. I love this game that fucking much.
Okay. I mean, I like the game too, and like I said earlier, like me putting it so low on my list doesn't mean it's bad at all. I like the other games a tad bit better. That's all.
Understandable.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I felt it actually did a decent amount of things. Like I know I heard a lot of people consider Cold Steel 3. They like Cold Steel 3 more than Cold Steel 4.
Yeah.
But for me, I don't see it. I don't see it in any way, shape, or form. I think Cold Steel 4 did a lot of things. I think it improved on a lot of things that Cold Steel 3 did. I feel Cold Steel 3 had a few things in there that felt like difficulty spikes as well. I don't remember feeling that in Cold Steel 4. But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
They're both great games. This is also my game of last gen, should I say? But
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. At this point.
yeah. I still want to play Persona 5R, see how that is. Because everyone's like, look, you didn't play Persona 5R. You also didn't play Final Fantasy VII Remake. You haven't even played the best JRPGs that came out this year, Riku. I'm like, all right. No, I'm going to be playing them soon, so we'll see. But I highly doubt they're going to top it. I'm a big fucking Trails fan. But I know I'll like those games a lot, too.
There's actually one thing I wanted to compare to Cold Steel 4. Rufus Alvarez's a whole motivation.
Oh, yeah, that was cool.
I kind of want to compare him to Akechi for the most part.
You think so?
Yeah, I think he kind of mirrors Akechi in a way, and he's like Akechi but way better for the most part.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That is very interesting. Maybe I need to play Persona 5 again. Yeah, and I will with 5R. Do you remember his motivations changing?
His motivations were basically he wanted to surpass his father for the most part. He wanted to take down his father, which is technically the same thing as Rufus for the most part. He wanted to take down the guy that taught him everything he knows for the most part, right?
Yeah, and also they're on top of the fact that Rufus was trying to prove himself because you remember he said this verbatim. He wanted to prove himself that he is worth living because he currently is a bastard child. He basically flipped out right before you fought him in the rivalry. I was like, that's the most emotion we've seen Rufus portray, and the voice actor killed it as well.
His voice actor is amazing.
Yeah, That's the most we've seen Rufus like showcase characterization. And even up to after that, he had character development. He realized that he's wrong. Then he got knocked the fuck out. Yeah, but apparently he's doing stuff in Hajimari. You know that
Oh, really? He is?
yeah, apparently he's doing stuff in Hajimari.
How? So isn't he locked up?
I think you remember when at the end of this game, they were talking about certain things that still need to be done in Crossbell. And they were, I think, a lot of the blame that
Yeah, it came on to Rufus.
no, it came on to Gilead Osborne, who's dead. As far as I remember, they saying.
I guess that's wrong because Rufus came in and he took over Crossbell.
Yeah,
And it was mostly his doing. That's why he got arrested. That's primarily why he got arrested. Everybody else, I don't think Claire was arrested.
yeah. Claire was not arrested. She was fine. Lecter was fine.
Yeah,
As far as I remember seeing, all of the Iron Bloods were fine.
exactly. So why did Rufus was the only one that got anything that happened to him for the most part?
Like I said, as far as I remember, they everything was pinned on the curse and Osborne, who is dead. So it's like there's still a lot of work that needs to be done in Crossbell, and apparently that's you know how one of the segments that we have to do in Hajimari, there's three. There's the Reen story, there's the new story with the new characters, and then there's the Crossbell story. Apparently that's what that has to do with. So
Okay, all right.
let's see what that's about. But yeah,
Okay.
we're not going to talk much about Hajimari people, so we'll leave it at that. We'll leave it at that.
I think we're just gonna leave the whole thing at that. Yeah, that's pretty much all I want to discuss for the most part.
Yeah,
I think we're good to go. Damn, it's like almost, I want to say maybe 3 hours, 3.5 hours. Jesus.
I haven't done a podcast like this in a while, but like we were telling Bao earlier, man, this is a long ass, epic ass game. So we kind of, we felt it warranted a long ass, epic ass spoilercast. So if you're listening and you made it all the way to this part, I hope you were entertained. Because I know I personally feel like in regards to like the YouTube coverage of Trails, there isn't much to grasp on, especially when you compare it to like Final Fantasy or Persona or whatnot. Like you have content for fucking days in regards to people talking about like the story and lore and all of that shit, But in regards to like Trails, the only thing you really have is people reviewing the games and talking about how you should play them and how good they are.
Yeah, especially like mainstream media sites. They don't really. They probably never finished most of the games. They're just covering it just to have that game covered for the most part, so people won't come to them and say, "Oh, you're in this game," and they just tell people to play it. That's about it.
Yeah, they don't go into detail about the story, and
yeah,
technically as they shouldn't, because it's heavily spoilery stuff.
That's true. Yeah, it's like the perfect cover up.
It's we feel that this is probably a decent amount of good like story related stuff for people out there like myself who felt that when they go on YouTube and they want to hear people talk about like all of this stuff that happens in Trails, like they would have to go and hop into a Discord, like a fucking NAS Discord or a Falcom Discord, and talk to those people in there about the stuff that they experience. And good luck not dealing with the Falcom Hive fan base when it comes to Discord, because those guys can sometimes get they can get a little feisty in there. So
or as the I guess you could say friendly version is to say they're passionate. They're really passionate.
They are very passionate.
Yeah.
To the point where they will get you passionate as well.
Yeah.
So I hope you guys enjoyed this very long spoiler cast that we provide. Hit that like button.
Seriously, hit that like button and throw us a comment or something. That'd be great.
Also, shout out to the winner of the Cold Steel 4 limited edition, Josh, on Twitter. Good job. Glad you got the game. safely and all that stuff. He lived in Canada, so I had to pay for fucking.
Oh, oof. I
Yeah,
remember the last time I had to send something over to Blake in Canada, and it was like a whole thing.
Yeah, man. They were saying how much is this worth, and I was like, I bragged about. I was like, oh yeah, man, this package is worth 150, and they were like, okay, well you got to pay a fee of 150. I was like, what? Why? And they were like, well, in order to send something international, you got to pay how much it's worth.
Yep,
So,
that's exactly the problem I had with Blake. I was like, I'm not paying this.
and then they told me, yeah, when he picks it up, he's gonna have to pay that fee as well. And I was like, what the fuck? And I literally told him, I was like, he might as well have bought this game himself if that's the case. And they were like, yeah, you can just, we know this is a problem, but you can just like reduce it, even though it's not worth $20. You can say it's worth $20, and then all he will have to pay is $20 when he picks it up. And I was like, okay, fine. I guess it's worth $20, but that's the best $20 you'll ever fucking spend. But yeah,
okay, yeah.
Good job, Josh. You got the game. Like I said, I'll be doing another one, hopefully with Ease 9 when that comes up.
2021.
Yep.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening. We really appreciate it. As I said before, hit that like button, throw a comment, and we'll see you next time. Peace.
Peace, people. Peace out.